I do think if people tried to understand each other more and tried to empathize and stop using their own experiences as their law of life, or like saying this is right because this is how I experienced it, I think we can make a lot of change if we tried to understand other people's experiences and making change through that, and understanding that life is not just through your lens. There's 7 billion other lenses that people look through. So I think that's the first step to making a change, is understanding that not everybody lives the same life as you and has the same experiences.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yo, what's up? This is Boho Hobo, and we welcome you all back to Bindlism, a philosophy to a self-sufficient lifestyle. The purpose of Bindlism is to unlock authentic perspective as we create a community of like-minded individuals who are living a self-sufficient lifestyle. A self-sufficient lifestyle is one in which a human being is activating their self-awareness to curate an authentic life that keeps them sustained mentally, emotionally, and physically in their adventure towards self-fulfillment. Boho Hobo's mission is to support a community that fosters this culture. We will be interviewing a diverse group of people, including artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, and independent thinkers to make this happen. Please join us in this journey as we explore the world and broaden our horizons with discoveries of new perspective. Thank you to everyone who is taking the time to stop by on your journey to give us a listen. We hope you enjoy, and as always, explore endlessly.
So welcome back, everyone. Before we start, I just want to preface this, why I'm about to do what I'm about to do. We were sitting here talking about wine and then matcha at the same time, and now we're trying matcha in our wine. I looked it up before I did this, so I wasn't like a psychopath, and apparently this is actually something people have done before, so...
Trying new things.
Japanese are ahead of us.
Pioneering the new frontier of
If everyone's
wines.
ready, I'm just gonna...
Send it.
Cup me.
Oh, right.
Should we do it right over there?
Yeah, what the
Yep, right
the
over
fuck
the
are you
Zoom.
I was
doing?
willing to go a little bit further, but okay.
That was ballsy.
Does anyone want any more?
No, I'm good. Yeah, over the Zoom again.
There you go. Yeah, you can not sure how well it's gonna taste, but
Alright,
we're all gonna find out what's all if
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Using the spoon.
do we all want to try this at once?
Yeah.
Yeah, a toast to Michelle.
To Michelle.
Cheers.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you.
It's a little grainy.
Yeah, that's the matcha.
It
Doesn't taste any
It's not the
different.
worst.
Now I have to see if I'm gonna be like wired, because I usually get really wired from drinking matcha during our
I feel like the matcha just kind of blends in with the wine. It probably would have been good to drink the wine first to know what it tastes like, but
I mean, it's a white wine. I kind of already know what that probably tasted like.
Mm-hmm.
it does give it a little bit more flavor though. Like a fuller flavor.
Well, folks, if you want to try this at home, buy our matcha and put it in your wine.
Feel healthy and drunk.
Yeah.
Buy two.
Buy 2 cases. 2 full cases of matcha. I don't think you need that much matcha.
Cool. Yeah.
What episode is this, Kyle? 63?
I don't remember.
Fuck. Well, we'll find out when we finish this episode.
Yeah.
60 something.
We'll just flash it
you're
on the
60
screen.
something. Yeah, I don't know. We're here with Michelle. Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone and get this party rolling?
Sure. Do I look at the camera?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
Don't even pretend the camera's not.
Okay,
on.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle. I own Fawnd Vintage, which I started in 2020, and I'm also co-founder of the Cherry Pitt, which is a vintage collective in downtown Syracuse.
And so the Cherry Pitt, just for reference to anyone who didn't hear, I don't even know if Chloe
She didn't talk about it.
talked about it. Yeah,
She might have alluded to it, but
Yeah, probably. So Chloe Schnell, who was already on our show, is one of the partners with you at Cherry Pitt. So there's a connection for anyone who listened to that episode. So you do Fawnd Vintage, and then you do that through the Cherry Pitt. So I guess Fawnd Vintage probably came first.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how you got into thrifting and all that kind of stuff, and where the brand came from?
Yeah, I started thrifting back in 10th grade. I actually still have the first
wow.
sweater I ever thrifted. It's like
Nice.
a beige chunky cardigan. It's missing all buttons but one, and there's so many pulls, but it's like my little treasure sweater because it's like what got me started.
You still wear it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
I just can't close it because
Yeah.
the buttons are missing, but yeah. So that's when I started, and I've always been into fashion, but I used to buy a lot of fast fashion. Back in high school, like Forever 21 was everything to me, and I won the Shopaholic award and everything, and I'm still a shopaholic. But when I went to college and I studied sustainability, I realized, first of all, how much clothing there already is, and how I really don't need to go out and buy new clothing when I can find pretty much everything secondhand. So that's when I started just searching everything, thrifting secondhand first before finding something new. So that's when I, sometimes went to the thrift stores. Then I realized I should actually try to source everything I can from the thrift stores. So that's how I got my closet to where it is today. And then I started selling last year in the middle of the pandemic, mostly because I had too many clothes and I was unemployed. So I was like, I'll just start a Depop and start Fawnd Vintage. And I loved it right away, and it popped off right away. So now I'm selling on Depop, another site called Holy Thrift, and yeah, I'm in store too now.
You just started and you're already at the point you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's such a quick come up for, I mean, not that like thrifting is like not like a uncommon thing, but at the same time, like, you don't see a lot of people going from 0 to like 100 in that amount of time. So like, how do you feel about that process? Like, for it going from just like a necessity almost to now it's like a real business.
I feel like it was long overdue because I studied entrepreneurship and I worked in hospitality for so many years, and I just didn't utilize my skills. So I've had these skills for a while, so it feels kind of late for me, but it feels really good. I really love what I do and everything.
I think a lot of times, like, it's hard to kind of capture all these skills and like put it in a way that's like purposeful, because we don't have entrepreneurship early on in life. It's something we kind of stumble upon. It's like off the beaten path. Like, we have mainstream and everything. We grew up in public education and everyone's used to things being a certain way. But like, entrepreneurship is one of those things that's like, you kind of go off and do your own thing. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like for someone to go off on that path, you have to think like outside the box. So I guess, like, what was your experience through that?
Yeah. So I kind of see Chloe as like an entrepreneur as well with her fashion design, and I've always wanted to do fashion design. I took fashion design classes in high school, but I was never good at sewing. So I kind of see as the best way to utilize myself in the fashion career would to be creating my own thing through business practices, because I do have math skills, and I think I'm way better at the logistics side of things, even though I do have creativity. So, and also I'm just very strong-willed, and to be honest, I've never liked having a boss or working for another company. Too many corporate jobs, too many hospitality jobs where it's just like I would love to do my own thing and be a leader. I also love being a leader. So I think all those things is what made me decide to go into entrepreneurship at FIT. And it was a great course. There was only 30 of us in the class, so I got to work with everyone tight-knit like the 2 years, and professors gave us freedom to basically create like any business we wanted to, and we'd all critique each other's business. So mine was a hemp clothing company.
Nice.
In Nepal, made in Nepal and ethically produced, where they help women who are domestic survivors and have kids to take care of, the single. And so that was my idea, and something I still want to do. I've traveled to Nepal and they have a huge hemp, business or industry over there. Even though it's not technically legal, there's a lot of natural hemp that grows there. So that's what my project was on, in entrepreneurship, and yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and it goes hand in hand with sustainability, being super sustainable, and it's just like widely, it grows really easily from what I know about it. So could you just kind of, I guess, give us some information on hemp and like how it's good for clothing and that kind of side of it?
Yeah. So yeah, it does grow really fast. It can grow within 6 weeks, or grows 6 weeks, and uses the half amount of water that cotton uses. So that's like the sustainable side of things. And for clothing wise, it's very durable. I actually wear a lot of hemp sandal shoes that I wear all summer, every summer. So it's very durable. And if you mix it with other fabrics like cotton or silk, it creates a beautiful fabric for clothing. It also has insulation properties, so it keeps you really warm in the winter and really cool in the summer. And that also goes with houses, hempcrete houses. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You have?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
So hemp's interesting to me, and I've always and I love all these more, as like time goes on, more and more brands coming out that are just hemp, like specific hemp brands. But yeah, like I've done research into hemp because I've been fascinated with the whole, because it's compared with like marijuana and all that stuff in that like category. It's always been this thing that's been taboo, illegal in places and blah blah blah. And I've always been like, but why? Like, why though? Why? It's not like it's dangerous. Like what's what's the purpose? And so I learned about why it's illegal in the United States, and still kind of like in weird waters as of late. So hemp being illegal here had to do with the paper industry. So basically, the paper mills of like the early years of America's like industrial revolution basically had ties with the government off the rip. Like people had always used papyrus for the longest time, and then it shifted to like basically cutting trees down and turning that into paper. And so these companies had tons of investment into politicians for the same reason that oil companies do now, or whatever, big business. They want to get certain tax deals and all this garbage. And basically, like you were saying, hemp grows a lot faster, it's a lot more sustainable, and it's a lot more durable. So it's cheaper, it's quicker to make, and it's just better all around. So these hemp companies started like coming up during that time, and they were like outdoing the paper mills to the point where like they were foreseeing their imminent end. So they were like, yeah, we're going to put an end to that because we're paper mills, and we're not going to try to shift our business practices to this. So we're just going to basically use our political power to shut you up. And so they made it illegal. And on top of that, they made marijuana illegal at the same time because it's similar plants, setups. So they're just like, yep, let's just get rid of that.
They also went from calling it cannabis to marijuana because of the Mexican immigrants who were over there. They also blamed, marijuana being the devil's choice, on them. And everybody used to call it cannabis, which is its actual name. But then they started calling it the Mexican version, which is marijuana. And so there was definitely not only the paper industry, but like racist tendencies too.
So it's just like a mix of like, just people just being shitty. Like normal.
And the propaganda back then, have you guys seen the anti-marijuana propaganda?
Ridiculous.
I can't believe people actually believed it.
Well, that's what's crazy. Like without the internet, people would believe the most batshit crazy stuff because they have no way to like cross-reference anything. It's like, well, if Joe Schmo, who's powerful, said it's true, it must be true, and they heard it one time in a paper, so that's their only form of information. So it's like, it's very crazy that we're living still in like the aftermath of something that happened 100, 200 years ago. And it's still kind of like in effect. relatively. I mean, I think hemp will be fully legalized in this country relatively soon. If
How is it
it's-
still illegal?
it in certain states, it's still like illegal to
'Cause-
sell it as
Mm.
like certain products and stuff. Yeah, like I follow a local company, Head and Heel. They're out of Portland, and recently New York made it illegal to sell hemp products again for some reason. And then they made marijuana legal. So it's just all this random like back and forth shit. I'm like, just legalize it. Like, you're gonna do it anyways. Like,
Mhm.
why? It's 2020.
I didn't know
21.
that.
Yeah.
Because I remember like the most shocking thing that Mitch McConnell and President Trump ever did, or when he was president, former president, was made hemp legal in 2018. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
there
very
was like
interesting.
there was stipulations about hemp in New York like recently, and I don't know the current status of it or whatever, but maybe it's fine now with the legalization of marijuana. But like I don't know, but it's just like the fact that it's even on the table as like this should be illegal now, like 200 years later. It's like, what?
There's no downsides to it at all.
Yeah, it's like, let's just give it the times, people. Like, we should have been with the times like 200 years ago.
Mhm.
I don't know, it's wild. So hemp,
Was there anything that you wanted to add to what Andy was talking about as far as like sustainability using hemp? Or
I mean, there's a lot more I can talk about with
Sure,
hemp.
yeah.
I don't know what else to start
I
with.
mean,
Just
do
like
you-
how many uses there are with hemp. We didn't
With-
even
with-
scratch the surface.
with that brand that like the project you did,
Mm-hmm.
what specifically like would this brand be making? Like, is it just any form of clothing, or is it like specific like fashion stuff?
It was gonna be like basic unisex clothing, shoes and bags. Yeah.
nice.
And then part of it, since I brought up hempcrete, was part of the profits would be used to building hempcrete homes, buildings and schools in Nepal, because they're also earthquake resistant hempcrete
wow.
homes. And I traveled to Nepal right after that 2015 earthquake. So that's also what I got into the idea of just having hemp everything, hemp clothing, hemp houses. So
Yeah.
mhm.
It's that's the thing. Like, I can totally understand where people who run certain businesses might be like afraid of hemp being like, well, this is just a better product altogether. But
Mhm.
whenever I hear that, I always just think, wouldn't it be smart to just get into the hemp industry then? If you know it's going to be better than what you're selling, shouldn't you just get on the wave now while it's still like early?
Mhm.
Apparently not. I don't know. Like, it's a weird mindset. Even like with oil, same thing. It's like renewable energy is pretty much like the wave going forward, and they're still like stuck on their.
I saw some anti-solar power signs a couple weeks ago
That's
traveling
strange.
through the country, and I'm like, how can you be anti-solar power? Like that was ridiculous to me. But yeah, some people really do not like renewable energy.
It sounds like something to do with like oil industry and like people that are tied up with investments into oil. They don't want to see those businesses collapse due to solar, because then they lose money on their investment.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see like people maybe, that just are from that traditional age to want to continue that.
Yeah. I always think that though, but I'm like, okay, if you're afraid of your investment failing, you should move your investment
Invest in
into something
better.
else. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Point,
It's
yeah.
not that fucking hard. They're like, no, I can't. Why? Someone have a gun to your head or something? Like, I don't get it. I don't know. It's just-
Maybe.
They just don't get it.
yeah, that's
They don't know how to
probably
use
what
money.
it is. It's just a very interesting like mindset. And that's the other thing, like when coming back to like the entrepreneur thing, like and you semi touched on it, but like when we grow up, we're not even like taught that entrepreneurship is even a good avenue to go down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always like you have to do one of these 5 subject areas is where you're gonna go, and if you don't go there, you better go to a trade school or else you're fucked. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, no, that's not true at all. Like, I don't need to do any of that shit, because like fashion isn't a subject they teach you in school,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at least not in like grade school or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's just very interesting that even now I feel like entrepreneurship is still in its early stages of being more promoted to younger kids in schools, that like it's okay if you want to start your own business, like you should do that.
And it's a great way to like create something new. That's like the whole point of it, is you're innovating and trying to create new industry. And it's something, me personally, I think it's like one of the only things where you can create a system that's your own and take in all these different influences and make it into something that's very personalized for you.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of influences before I started, you know, a bunch of vintage pages I followed before them. Yeah, I think a lot of people explored the entrepreneurial route, you know, during the pandemic. I know so many of my friends
100%.
that did it, and I'm so happy to see it, you know, so many small businesses to support rather than
big business.
Yeah.
It's interesting because people were always like, well, there's so many businesses that are going out of business that are never going to come back, and that's very valid, and there's definitely businesses that I'm sad to see had to go or whatever. But on the same side, it's like thinking about the next few years once like COVID situations are really like done. I know we keep talking about like, oh well, it's soon, but like when it actually is like full blown, like we can go about our lives pretty normal again, it's gonna be so exciting to see how many new like very budding businesses came out of that pandemic, like things like the Cherry Pitt and other things like that, where people literally started out of necessity or boredom in the pandemic, and just seeing like this shift in more heavily entrepreneurial minded people kind of coming to the forefront. It's I don't know, it's like nothing our generation has ever experienced before. So
no, or our parents.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, this pandemic is crazy, and I don't think any of us will really process it until like years down the road. Yeah.
Right. Because
what kind of history we actually lived
it
in.
happened like once 100 years ago, and I don't really think that it had the same effect on culture that it's having now. Just because of like, you know, technology and everything. Like it's just way more accessible to be an entrepreneur in 2021 than it was in 1918 or whatever. You know, also there was a world war happening during that time.
Yeah.
So like there was even less opportunity to start a thrifting business. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't know. It's very, we're all definitely super lucky to benefit from something that's not ideal in anyone's like, I don't think anyone would have wished it to happen, but
Now, you said you went to FIT, so what kind of like what was your degree at FIT? Did you say it was?
So I got my associates in business and then entrepreneurship for my bachelor's, and I minored in sustainability and ethics.
Oh, okay.
Nice. What was it like going to FIT?
I liked it because it wasn't a traditional college. It was right in the middle of Manhattan. You know, it wasn't, I was never attracted to like the sororities and like the traditional college experience. So, and I did like how everyone minded their own business. So it was that, the college itself, like the classes, you know, it's a SUNY school. So I think for the price, that we, you know, paid, a lot of my friends didn't like it, but I think it was a really good school. The professors were very experienced. Most of them were still working in the field, like, you know,
That's nice.
like Levi's, Macy's, you know, the connections were great. So I loved it. And yeah, I loved the city. And I think half of the experience, or, you know, half the learning experience was being in the city itself. That too.
Yeah.
So
New York's definitely it's a big jump from are you from the Syracuse area growing up?
Baltimore. I was in Baltimore first,
okay.
and then I moved to Syracuse when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
half and half. Yeah.
Even still, like, just comparing Baltimore to New York City, it's still like a stark difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York is an animal for sure. So like, so you went there by yourself, I'm assuming. Like you just, and did you know anyone there when you moved there for school?
No.
Wow.
I had there was one girl who got accepted to FIT as well in my school, but we didn't really talk.
Gotcha.
In college, but so yeah, I didn't know anybody. Made friends really quickly though. Yeah, so
You live in like dorms there, like with other
Yeah, I lived-
students?
yeah, I lived in dorm the first year, and then I got an apartment with some other FIT students, which was awesome.
Nice. So you got to be more selective. Like, I'm gonna live with some people I actually like want to live with.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that you didn't want to live with whoever.
Yeah.
you
Well,
lived
no,
with,
I loved
but-
my first roommate.
okay.
I love you, Morgan. Yeah.
Hell yeah, the shout. Yeah,
Um,
some people get lucky like that.
You said you went to Nepal too.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like a study abroad kind of thing through FIT?
No, it was just like it was during winter break, and I was just looking to volunteer somewhere because my friend Erica actually went to volunteer in Ghana like the year before. And so I just heard her experience was really good. So I was just checking out through the same program, and I saw Nepal, which I actually really didn't know much about at all, but it was teaching English at a monastery, which just sounded like the most interesting thing. And I was really interested in learning about Buddhism at the time. So I went over there and I taught little kids on the outskirts of Kathmandu English, which was fun. Yeah.
Do they like kind of like tell you how to go about doing that? Because I'm assuming
No.
they. So like, how much English do they really know?
Not much. And I also went during off season, like January, so I was the only volunteer there. So it was just, and I thought I would be with other people, but it was fun. But yeah, they spoke some English, but it wasn't the best. It was still a great experience, but I thought I was going to be with other people, and they really, I mean, I was a teacher, so I don't think they really told or knew what to tell me what to do, because they expected me to know. So I got through it. I had to omit some of the lessons though, because they were teaching sexist things in the books there. So
well, good
I
on
just
you for not
like calling
teaching.
like the woman fat and ugly. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to teach them how to say that.
Good.
Yeah.
We need more people like you.
I know it's normalized over there, but I was like, no, I'll teach them. The girl was smart. The girl was beautiful. Yeah.
Nice.
So I taught him those things, but yeah, I didn't know how to start off. My uncle was a teacher, so I kind of played by what he used to prepare and what he used to do. So I think I did all right, but it was definitely a little nerve-wracking because I thought I would be more instructed.
So you were like, do you travel there alone, and then you just showed up to wherever you had to be, and they were just like, all right, this is what you're doing?
Yeah, I traveled alone, which was long. That was like
Yeah.
18, 19 hours. And yeah, I took a cab there. And yeah, they showed me my room. And they told me what to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like-
I do like traveling alone.
Part of me feels like, as much as it may have been easier on you for other people to be there to like help guide in the situation, I almost feel like it's such a different learning experience to just have to like figure that shit out on your like by yourself.
It's like entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
It's just like, well, we're gonna throw you straight into the fire, have fun. No one knows how to speak English. Get it.
Mhm.
So what was it like interacting with the students, if you will, based on that language barrier? I guess,
yeah,
like,
true.
what was like off the rip, like, what was that experience like?
I mean, they were kids, so it was basically the same as American kids. Like they weren't really bothered by me. They were still rowdy, and it still felt like American kids, like still playful and getting them under the control. But they were also obedient. Like they were the good students too, who really worked hard. But yeah, it was fine. Yeah, I don't know how else to say, but
And you
I think-
said that you went for Buddha. Well, you were drawn to Buddhism. So like one thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is like religious views and like spirituality and stuff like that. So would that be something you'd be interested in talking about? Just your process in like getting introduced to Buddhism?
yeah, well, so I went to learn about it, but I actually didn't learn that much about it they kind of did their own thing with Buddhism, and I actually couldn't like go into the temple.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, so I tried to learn about it. It was a meditative experience, but I didn't get
Really
that
practice
much.
much.
Yeah, I didn't get that much into Buddhism when I was there actually.
And how long did you say you were there for?
I was there for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But I toured the temples and I met a lot of Buddhists, and it seemed like very peaceful. But yeah.
What was your favorite part of that trip?
I was able to travel on the weekends, so that was really nice. So I got to go. I took the bus, which was an experience too. Figuring out, I had to take like 3 different buses up to this mountain town to view the Himalayas. So I think that was a really good experience in my first trip, because I did another trip again, afterwards, where I got to visit more of the cities, but of that trip, I think that was a good experience. And also Kathmandu itself is a really good, fun city. And it's really...
That's where you were?
I was on the outskirts. It's like
Okay.
there's Kathmandu Valley. So I was on the outskirts in where there's a lot of monasteries. But the city itself is very fun.
What would I guess, like, what is a city in Nepal like? Is it like anything here, or is it very different?
It's very different. Yeah, it's very busy. The roads are crazy, which I kind of loved, riding on the motorcycle and just like the crazy. My bus hit a bike, which he was fine. Like it was normalized. So I loved the craziness of it. Yeah. And the people are so friendly there. So I really loved that. And the fashion's there. It's so colorful, and the embroidery, I think that's great. The food is great as well. But it's definitely not it's definitely not like an American city.
And so when you're saying like crazy, like that, it's just like people are all like through. It's kind of like the way I like imagine it is like if you think of like old pictures or film from like New York City back in like the day when
Everybody's
people are
just
just
crossing.
going
Yeah,
all over the place
exactly.
and everyone's just doing shit all at the same time.
Yeah,
You're
everyone's
just,
somewhere
like,
to be. Yeah.
No one cares who you are. You're just blending in and just going about your business. That's awesome. I feel like it's hard to find that kind of well, I guess in New York City when it's like not COVID, kind of still is like that, just more organized a little bit. You can't just like be in the street the whole time.
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
And now, have you traveled much in the States? Or, like besides Nepal, have you had any other places have you traveled to? Like big excursions like that?
Not the States, but Europe I've been to a little bit, and I've traveled alone to Europe as well. So like I said, I do like to travel alone. And another one of my great trips was to Barcelona alone, and then Ibiza, which my phone got stolen, so I don't have any documentation of it. But yeah, I think traveling alone is like one of the best experiences to have, because you have to force yourself to like get out of your comfort zone and meet people and do things you wouldn't do if you were with other people, because I've traveled with friends, and not only do you have to compromise on what they want to do, but you stay in a certain comfort zone with them. Sometimes it depends on the friend, but that's my experience. But when you travel alone, it's people also approach you more, because they're worried about you. Like I got approached a couple times in Barcelona. And I was asked on the beach when I was sitting on the beach alone. They're like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just chilling." They're like, "Oh, you're alone." It's like, "You can join me if you want." But so Barcelona is definitely my favorite city I've ever been to. That and Paris. I've been to both of them alone.
Did you ever see a soccer game at Barcelona?
No, but I was in Paris when the World Cup was going on.
Oh, damn.
So that was crazy. And then I was in Rome when like the finals were happening. I think Italy was like in the finals and they lost, I believe.
Okay. So what year was that?
2016.
Okay.
Do you remember who it was?
I don't even remember.
Was it
Maybe I'm wrong.
Netherlands? Italy, Netherlands? I don't know.
I can't.
I remember that. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna know for sure, but
We were hoping Rome would win or Italy would win because it would have been a great party night.
Right.
But they lost. So I remember being bummed about that. But no, I haven't seen a soccer game in Barcelona.
Yeah, I feel like that's something if I do go over there. Just not that I watch soccer often, but like just knowing the atmosphere that soccer games are in Europe, it's like not even comparable to an American sports atmosphere. Like even
Dude,
like
they're
a
nuts. They have,
even
like,
like a
fires in the
sold
stadium.
like even like a sold out football game at the Ralph in Buffalo for a Bills game, which are crazy in
That's nothing.
their own. Like people are drunk, jumping through tables and shit. Like it's still not even comparable.
Especially not during the World Cup too.
No, I mean like
Another
just hearing
animal.
like how in unison people chant like these songs and stuff. It's just yeah, just to be there for something like that would be so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just like culture in general, I feel like in Europe, it's way better than in the States all around.
Mhm.
Like there's just more sense of connection and community, I feel like. So
Yeah, I don't know, America.
maybe
is-
we can step up our game.
And we gotta step up a lot of
figure
shit.
figure it out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
There's definitely times where I'm like, maybe it might be better if I just live in a different country and just not here.
It's definitely
Yeah.
been consideration for a long time.
Yeah.
The only thing stopping me is my family, or I would definitely be in Spain or, somewhere else by now.
So, do you speak Spanish or any other languages that help you on these
No.
trips? Or are you just able to? You're just good at getting by with.
I'm
without-
just good at getting by the bare minimum. Yeah, I've taken French and Italian in school, but I've tried to learn some Spanish for my next trip. But going in there in 2015, I did not know anything, which it was fine. I stayed in touristy areas, so I didn't have much difficulty.
Mm.
And then I also made friends, which was really helpful, making friends who spoke Spanish and just
Right.
going around with them.
Because then they can
So-
kind of
True. Yeah.
Mhm.
talk for you in certain situations.
Yeah, that was helpful. But, for my next trip, I would like to do some things on my own because I was supposed to go back to Spain last May. I had an Airbnb in Granada and Barcelona, and I had to cancel them both, obviously, because of the pandemic. And that's when I was taking Spanish for then. But
Yeah, and it's tough to like keep up with the language when you're not using it regularly,
mhm,
unless you're like really dedicated to like keeping that on the up and up.
mhm,
Which I just know, like knowing my personal like life, like if I'm not regularly using something, I just don't care about it. Just because like there's no like right now living in Syracuse, I have no necessity to know any other language.
mhm.
So I don't know, it's interesting. I definitely need to travel though, like outside of the
Yeah.
States, because like I've probably, from what it sounds like, I've traveled a lot more in the States than you have, but you've traveled a lot more abroad than I have. So it's like two very different like experiences, which is cool though.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing out on the States though. Like I regret not traveling enough yet. The farthest out west I've been is Michigan for Electric
Wow.
Forest.
Hey,
That's
still a
That
good
sounds
travel.
dope.
Yeah, Electric Forest was
Forest is
amazing.
awesome.
But yeah, I still can't believe I haven't been out west because it sounds like amazing. Where have you been?
I've been everywhere in the East Coast, like from Maine to Florida, as far west as, I guess if you consider Illinois east. I guess that's like the beginning of the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've been to like Washington State, Oregon, California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, like all those states. I pretty much just the center of the country I haven't been to. But honestly, like just the stuff I'm interested in, a lot of that stuff is not as prevalent in the mid states. So I kind of just went where it was more like, oh, there's mountains here or there's
Yeah.
ocean here. Whereas like, I'm not going to go out of my way to go to Nebraska because like, I don't know if I would be like awe-inspired seeing
Yeah.
cornfields.
Mhm.
Like I grew up living not too far away from farmland anyways. So I'm like, is it really that different? But I mean, I'll probably still go just to say it was like in a place like Kansas or Nebraska. But I just feel like I wanted to see the cool places first, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah. I don't know.
Now, you said when you were starting up your sustainability, like your when you were like conceptualizing it during school, totally different topic. But going back to what you were saying in the beginning,
Mhm.
you said that you didn't like end up pursuing it. Is that correct? Just getting
The
my
hemp
bearings here.
clothing.
Yeah, with the hemp clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the barriers to being able to make that an actual thing?
So I had met another brand. I connected with them. They're called Stemp, and I'm not sure how they're. I haven't seen their stuff launch in a while, but they're still around. They're still a hemp clothing company in Nepal, and I had them make samples for me. So I had that going, but just then, and I think that was 2019 is when that was going, but it was honestly myself and my own mental health issues going on at the time. Uh, so it was basically myself that stopped me from doing that, and it just became me working in hospitality and trying to pay rent in New York City instead of doing the business. So
the opportunity was there, but like because of personal issues, it was going on. Whatever, you weren't able to pursue it.
Yeah,
Is that something that you would be interested in getting back to?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I think I just didn't believe in myself enough too at the time. I didn't have enough confidence to think so, but that's definitely still the goal one day. I'm still talking to my friends in Nepal. I have friends out there who still want to do this with me. So it's definitely still something. Like, I still love hemp, and I don't know, everybody says I have a light in my eye when I talk about it. So yeah, I definitely still want to do it. I believe in hemp and my like basic designs for sure. But
do you think that living in New York City as someone who is like fresh out of college is like potentially a negative thing based on like how expensive it is to live there and like the threshold to actually being able to like do your own thing at a certain point?
Yeah, because I was doing something I hated to make a living just to, I borderline hated hospitality and like being a server. So, and I didn't realize how much I hated it till I moved back. So I definitely think I wish I took a step back sooner, moved back and saved money and figured out what I wanted to do rather than being caught up in the fast-paced lifestyle of New York City. It's like, okay, what can I do next? What am I doing next to like stay here? And it's worth it. Rent is definitely worth it there with all the experiences you get. So tried really hard to stay, but yeah, I couldn't have it all and start my own business and live in the city. It was too much.
Right. And like if you like immediately go into hospitality, it's one of those things where you like get into the routine of it, and then you might feel trapped, but it's comfortable at the same time. So like to get yourself out of that, especially if like you're already kind of like frantic trying to figure things out, is just like another thing on your plate to have to deal with. So it's like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep doing this and then hope it works out. But then it's like COVID hits, and then people are like, oh shit, like I can have time to think about what I want to do. And it's like, oh shit. Well, and then entrepreneurship starts to rise up from it.
Exactly.
Everyone got like a timeout on life for a minute. We're like, this is my chance.
Yeah.
If you were already thinking about it, what better time than the time you're given out of nowhere?
Yeah, that's one of the few blessings of the pandemic I consider is that I was able to I was given a chance to step back and see what I really wanted to do, and I'm very thankful for that because I did get caught up in hospitality. I had some of my resume in fashion, internships and stuff I did in college, but then one day I look at my resume and it's all hospitality, and it's just like, how do I get out of it now? So that was really hard.
In entrepreneurship business, it's not just like, oh, starting up a shop, starting up a company, and you're starting to make money. There's a learning curve to it. And unless you have some time away from like the hecticness of like the everyday life to actually like learn the stuff that you need, it's like impossible to just like pick it up and feel like you're adequate enough to be able to do these skills. So like another reason why I think you going to school for, if anyone's listening, it's like hugely beneficial to just have that time period to yourself to really like delve deep, go down the rabbit hole and figure it out. instead
Yeah.
of before like hopping on hot ashes in New York City and being like, oh shit, now I have to like do all this stuff when you just didn't have that like trial period to figure it out, you know?
Yeah, there would probably be not enough room to make mistakes that I made
No. Yeah.
during the pandemic in the beginning, which I definitely made a lot of mistakes, you know. Mostly buying things that I didn't know would sell, you know, or doing like market research or having time to write a business plan and stuff like that. That's all very important.
And it's hard to do something like that in such a hectic place. Cause like here it's a lot calmer. Like I feel like sometimes
way more support.
Sometimes I just feel like there's no pulse to Syracuse. I'm like, it just feels very peaceful some days where I'm like, all right, like I don't have to worry about anything because there's nothing happening. So it's like
New York, you feel like you have to go out and you have to do something.
Right. Or else you're missing out on
something.
something.
Huge FOMO in New York.
Yeah. Here it's like if there's an event happening, it's probably like one of two in the month. So I probably marked out my calendar. So you started the Cherry Pitt. You want to talk a little bit about how that came about, and I guess, and then we can kind of talk about like how it's been going since you've started to do it.
Yeah, so it started with me and Chloe meeting last summer, and you know, connecting over our love of vintage and vintage shops.
Wasn't that here at the Gear too, that you guys met each other?
Yeah, how'd you meet?
I think Jason connected us, our mutual friend Jason. I think we did meet here. So yeah, we met at the Gear.
Great
and
place.
Yeah, and you know, our friend Michael John asked us together if we wanted to do a pop-up together in the McCarthy Mercantile, so we did that. And during the same time, this girl Abby was also selling separately at the pop-up, who's an SU student. And I actually bought a little slip from her, and I had no idea who she was. And so Chloe and I did our pop-up right before Christmas, and it went really well, and we really enjoyed it. So a few months passed by, and then the same guy, Michael John, is like, hey, you should meet Abby, the other girl who did a vintage pop-up the same time you guys did, and you guys should open a shop together. And that was basically it. We were all just down like from the beginning once we met each other. And so it was pretty last minute, you know, we had to plan everything within a month of, you know, the proposed idea. And yeah, we got it done, and now it's us three girls.
So when did you officially open shop?
Officially February 5th.
Okay, so you've been doing it for like 3 months now. How has that process been like? Like, was it like great off from the beginning, or like how has that experience been?
Yeah, it was. We did better than we expected in the beginning, I think, for sure. There were obviously some kinks in every business, and figuring out the organizational systems and inventory and sales. Like even though I did entrepreneurship, it was still my first time actually running a business and calculating profits and revenue and all of that stuff, which it was exciting because I finally got to use my degree.
Right.
So that was fun. But yeah, I work with great women. Like, they were both very easy to get along with, and you know, so there wasn't that many difficulties in the beginning. It's just the upkeep now and running it, I think, is where we're struggling right now.
So I guess like what is, only because I don't like, because I'm doing so much stuff, I don't get a chance to go down to the McCarthy too often. But I do every once in a while see like someone, whether it's, I mean, I see you three posting for your store, but I mean more like general like McCarthy content. What's like the flow of people coming through there regularly? Like what is that like? Just as like a store owner, like
the traffic, like how much interaction you're getting, as like, a business. Are you getting profits, like sales? Like, what's the vibe like?
It's still pretty unknown, actually. A lot of people that come through, usually tell us that they've never been down here before or they've never seen this before. So we're really introducing ourselves to the community a lot of the times and the whole space a lot of the times.
I saw Michael John, he posted something on Insta. It was basically like notifying people that yes, there's another level underneath wildflowers. So hopefully that helps.
I personally, I've said this, and I'm assuming Michael John has probably thought about it or trying to do it, but I think signage on the outside of the building is very necessary.
I brought it up.
Because I just think there's a lot of people who don't know about it, because I think it's awesome down there. It's a cool, unique space, and honestly, anything to drag people away from Destiny USA, I'm all about. I preach about this like every podcast.
Oh, I didn't know you were so against Destiny.
I literally talk about the death of Destiny almost every podcast. I'm like, the day Destiny USA sinks into the ground, it's inevitably going to sink into, Syracuse will become a way better city.
Except for the carousel part. We love that part.
Well, we'll keep the carousel. Let's get the carousel, moved downtown into a park or something cool. And
just
then
move it on top of the gear.
Get rid of the fucking eyesore prison-looking building that is Destiny USA.
I'm for it.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've like beaten the dead horse on it, honestly. I think anyone who's listening to this is probably like, yep, we get it. We get it. We all know. Yeah. It's just like, and I think it's nice that we're finally, because when we talked to Chloe, Cherry Pitt hadn't started yet. So it's just nice to finally talk to someone who is working out of the McCarthy to know, like, yes, this is a cool place that people are still just finding out about. And like, there's nothing else in Syracuse that's like that, so.
And like as far as like rental space, having your own shop there, was it hard to move into? Is this something like if we want to open a shop or any entrepreneurs listening, what's that process like to be able to start selling there?
Yeah, well, they were very helpful with getting anything we needed for the shop, the people at the McCarthy. So we didn't struggle with that. And Chloe and Abby had all their racks. We all basically had the stuff we needed in the beginning, the racks, the hangers. I brought in the rug, the mirrors, stuff like that. So basically just a checklist of what we needed, payment methods, cash box. We were pretty organized. I don't think it was that hard. It was just a lot of heavy work, but that's it. I don't think we really struggled moving in.
Yeah, it seemed from what I gather, I mean, knowing Michael John too, like it just seems like it's a pretty like chill environment. Like as long as you're a good tenant, there's no real like issues to be had. Like, what's the camaraderie between other like businesses down there?
The what?
Like the camaraderie. Like, do you interact with the other store owners of the McCarthy, or is it kind of like you kind of stick to your own?
I think the other girls do. I go in and I like to do a lot of work like with my own shop and everything. So we're all friendly with each other, but I'm not, walking over there and talking to them every day. But we're all friendly with each other. I'm hoping more shops will move in because it's only, Bersani Jewelry, the Flower Skate Shop, and Wildflowers. And while there is Sophie, she's never there. So just also not that many people to talk to.
Are there any openings there right now?
I think there's a few.
The one next door is, I think, a bookshop is moving in, a vintage bookshop. I think so. That will be really cool. And then we have Syracuse Lux, the photographer next to us, but he's never there. So I'm also by myself. All of the shops with people in it are across the gallery.
Side.
So like walking over there is just also kind of awkward. and then walking back to say hi.
I know there's a space because we were there for Chloe's birthday. There's a space like under the stairs.
Cool.
That's interesting. Yeah, I
feel
feel
like a box out, like they created walls.
Yeah, like when we were there. You remember that when we were there? There's
the glass.
Yeah, that's a room. Yeah.
I think Michael John was
like
supposed to take
office
that for his own thing, but now he's giving it to someone else. I forgot who he's giving it. I think he's doing coffee.
Oh, nice.
I think there's gonna be a little coffee shop.
Yeah, I feel like if it's a good mix of like things like that, where
Mhm.
because sometimes it takes something like a coffee shop to get someone to go down there and realize like, oh shit, I can spend my money in other places too.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, food's a good
Yeah,
attention grabber.
Mhm.
and I feel like so far from what I've gathered, it seems like a good mix of different types of businesses. But I get what you're saying. Like it definitely, if it was full, like all the tenant spots were filled out, it would
Mhm.
probably make it a little bit more popping than maybe. Which I mean, like I've definitely seen videos where some days it's definitely popping down there, where there's people like out and about.
Oh yeah, the events with vendors like this past Saturday was incredible and so busy.
Oh, wow.
It was filled with clothes everywhere. It was heaven for me.
Yeah.
Vintage clothing. Yeah.
So like when something like that's happening, do you get more traffic into your store than
Mhm.
on like a, I don't know, like a Wednesday?
Yeah. Yeah. Saturdays are definitely the craziest, busiest day. And shout out to Chloe because she rocks Saturdays like a boss. She's the one who handles the shop then, and she kills it every single time. So that's what we consider our day, and that's how I measure our marks. Like if we did good that Saturday, then it was a good week. We don't really like the weekdays. We mostly focus about posting our new arrivals, and we mostly get like online sales or like people DMing us and buying us stuff that way. So
Nice.
we are kind of selling through Instagram now too,
Cool.
shipping through Instagram. And then Saturday is like the big day where we make sure that everything's ready.
Because people are gonna be
Yeah.
looking for stuff.
Yeah, so that's,
especially if
like-
it's like nice out, people are like out shopping or looking for stuff to do.
Well, the last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, it was dead. So we're really not sure what kind of weather will bring people downstairs.
Interesting.
We're hoping when it's nice out. Michael John just got a street permit, so
For outside
we're
of
super
wildflowers.
excited to
Yeah.
go down because I need my sun. I can't be stuck down there all day with no windows. That's the only downside I think of the place for me personally is I would like to work somewhere with sunlight. It's just really
So I guess a follow up to the McCarthy topic, which is cool, and I think what the McCarthy Mercantile is bringing to the table is cool. But like, as a collective, just based on like how things have gone, do you foresee a like future of like moving into maybe a place that isn't in the lower floor of a building, but maybe something a little bit more accessible to people?
Yeah, we talked about that today actually. Me and the girls had a meeting, and it's definitely something that's possible. We're like, we could definitely do this. It's just me and Chloe are we have plans to move more, and while Abby's the only one who's like, definitely staying here because she's a freshman in college. So even if we decide not to move forward, we know the Cherry Pitt will probably move on and still exist in Syracuse, whether it be in the McCarthy Mercantile or another space. So I think it's definitely possible that will happen. Not sure if it'll be the same people, but we definitely recognize the demand for a vintage shop ever since, I don't know if you guys remember Modern Pop Culture, but that's like the last shop that I remember. And ever since they closed down, I can't, I can't remember like a specific vintage clothing shop that you can go to in Syracuse.
And I feel like, so my brother lives in Chicago, and something that I've always done almost like every trip I've gone there is go to like something like a Buffalo Exchange or things like that. They're just like a cool vintage shop that's not like something you see normally. Like I feel like growing up, vintage or thrifting was like going to a rescue mission store or whatever, which I mean, like obviously like what they're doing is great for underprivileged people or people who are just looking to thrift, but at the same time, like what you girls are doing is different because you're finding like the best of that and putting it in one place where you're like, oh wow, like it's stuff that's like trendy and not just like a random t-shirt someone decided to donate, which like is fine in its own right. But if you're looking for more of that fashion centric side to things, it's hard to find that sometimes. So you're filling that void right now.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize how great lengths I can only speak for myself, but how great of lengths I go to find like special pieces. People think I walk in the thrift store and just like pick up like the first thing and it's like a magic piece. like there's this, my favorite place is out in Bridgeport, and it's the most unorganized thrift place ever, and you have to like, sometimes I want to get gloves because it's so gross there, but like just digging through and like just finding gems that are like stuck under like 50 pounds of clothing, stuff like that. Or, traveling all over. Like, so yeah, I take pride in like finding the pieces I do, because I think I do work hard and I get a workout from it for sure.
So when do you find time to actually go out and find these pieces that you're going to bring to the store?
So sometimes I did a trip out to near Niagara Falls. So sometimes I'll plan trips like that to find, bring pieces that are not from this area. But I usually like to travel on the weekdays, mornings. That's when I find a time, and then
make it a day trip.
Yeah, day trip. And then, yeah, that's basically my, like, even though I only work 2 days in a shop, I still think I have like a full work week because I do sell online. So,
right.
And so, yeah, day trip thrifting, and then I'll spend another day shooting, editing the photos, uploading, measuring stuff. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to sell online.
And now with Fawnd Vintage, is there a distinction between those two? Like you got Cherry Pitt, Fawnd, like they're both vintage, correct? So like, do you have a specificity on like which pieces go into which?
I only selectively choose like my favorite, most expensive pieces for Fawnd now. Like I do sell more like basic vintage in the Cherry Pitt, but I won't put in the time to put it online just because it takes so much time. So, and I think Fawnd still just has a more curated bohemian, like prairie classic style, while for the Cherry Pitt I'm thinking more about what Syracuse wants, and so I am shifting my style a little bit more to fit Syracuse's vibe, because I've noticed what people want in Syracuse and what they sell. And the Cherry Pitt Instagram it's a collective of all of us, so Abby has like the punk grunge, and Chloe's like, I don't know, she hates it, but she's pop goth, like she can get over it. And then I'm like, yeah, the prairie girl, so like we definitely have to find a balance. And I guess I didn't bring up starting the Cherry Pitt. I kind of forgot like how clashy we were with our vision of what we wanted the store to look like. Like Chloe and I definitely had different visions in the beginning of what we wanted the store to look like, and the logo and everything.
So now Cherry Pitt, like where did you guys come up with that name?
So Abby came up with it. She had a huge list of names for her brand over the mic. So she just sent us a huge list, and she said she wanted to get a tattoo of the Cherry Pitt, like, because she just loved how it sounded, and we became obsessed with the name in the beginning, and the fact that it's Pitt and we're in the basement, we loved that, and cool. We love calling ourselves the Cherries because we're girls, and we associate cherries as like a feminine thing, so we just thought it was a really cute name.
Yeah, I think it works very well. And then when like, do you want to? I think this is a good topic to talk about. Is the magazine feature that you three had? Do you want to talk about that a little bit and just like kind of like how that came about and what that was all for?
Yeah, so we were featured in Rochester Woman's Mag, and Chloe got us connected with that, and it's just an article about the Cherry Pitt, and a little bit about me, and a little bit about Abby and our individual brands, Fawnd, Meta Modernity, and then about Chloe as well. So, and my friend Natalia shot photos for us, which was amazing, and it was really fun to have a first feature in a magazine, celebrating women,
Do you feel that, I don't know, because like I was saying before, like just thinking back, like you just started doing this like thrift business work because of the pandemic, like really doing it, and now you're already like featured in a magazine. Like what does that feel like, like to see that progression in such a short amount of time? I mean, I'm sure that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, it's very ecstatic, to be able to do what I love and to be, to be proud of it and to be able to display it. It feels really, really good. And I can't wait to grow even more and see what to do next. I love New York City, so I'd love to go back there. That's the goal, is to do some have a vintage shop in New York City or something. That sounds like, so I'm just really excited to grow and to be able to do something I love and sustainably and ethically. I think it makes me feel really good, yeah.
And just
It's
like
really
having the
good.
skill set now, like you said, you were in New York City. It's kind of like crazy at the time, and now you kind of take a step back and you reemerge back into that marketplace of things, and you can at least have a better sense of how to navigate it. Do you have any ideas? No. When do you want to go back to New York City?
No plans exactly,
Oh,
because
okay.
the Cherry Pit just opened in February, so I definitely want to stick around for that. I'm thinking about splitting my time,
Oh, wow.
doing half
Okay.
and half, running the shop and then also finding a part-time job in New York City, because I just went back and it's it's getting lively again, and yeah, there's nothing like it.
You forget how much you miss it, and you're like, oh shit.
When I left
need to
during the
be-
pandemic, it was quiet. The tensions were rising. I left actually right before the whole George Floyd thing and the protests, so I actually didn't. But it got crazy there. So, and yeah, so I would like to go back next year.
But yeah, basically my question was like, what were you envisioning, or have you not planned that far ahead? But like, if you were, what would be the plan of attack and going back to the city? Like, do you foresee any possible like goals in mind with that? Or is it too early to tell?
I don't know what would work. Like, I have like ideas, but I don't like for a set plan. Yeah, it's because I know if I were to go back, I don't think I would be able to do the vintage shop just on its own. Like, to run a vintage shop full time in New York City, you have to have some really amazing pieces and sell it at really high prices. Like, you can't just get around that.
Right.
So I would have to find another job, and
You have Fawnd too, the online stuff. So
yeah,
that might help.
yeah. I mean, when going back, I think I would have to just do online. I don't think a vintage shop would, unless I would to do it in like Bushwick. The rent is just so crazy there. I would just do it online.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Better profit margin though too. And then you're not trapped in one location, and it'll be easier for you to, go back from Syracuse to New York City and vice versa. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a silver lining in like what a thrifting business allows you, is that you can be literally anywhere and do it, especially if you have connections, and the more you travel, the more connections you're gonna make, and people talk. So if you make a friend that now knows you sell vintage, and they tell 5 more of their friends that like vintage shopping to check out your store, next thing you know, that just like multiplies. So yeah, and I agree, like paying rent to live plus to own a store there, that's got to be so crazy. I would almost be like, I want to live in my store so that I can afford to do it,
Yeah, that's why selling online is nice, because I could just have my apartment be my office. That would be great. But you just brought up an idea that Chloe and I have been have talked about before. Since we could sell anywhere, I don't know how possible it is, but getting a van and just going all over the country, and I really wanted to see what they have down south in terms of vintage. I feel like I would love the stuff down there. So that sounds like another possible thing.
Could just get like a trailer to put all the clothes in.
Exactly. Get an old school bus.
Yeah, check out. Yeah, because obviously you're gonna need storage of some sort to hold an inventory somewhere.
You can make the storefront the vehicle that you're driving in.
Yeah. See, there's definitely things you can do that not many people are trying.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone has tried something like that, but
There's a girl that actually followed me, a Lucky 11 Vintage, if you want to check it out. She and her boyfriend are traveling in a van all over, and she's selling dope vintage. So I definitely got that idea from her.
I mean,
she's living the life.
It's so cool because too, like, a tricked out van that someone's living out of is just inherently interesting. So like if you were like to say sign up to vend at a festival, for example, your booth could literally just be you rolling up the van, because now people are like checking out the van, they're checking out your clothes, you're just inherently more interesting because of all of that happening at the same time. Not saying that you're not already interesting, but you know what I'm saying, like it's just like there's this whole like thing happening and people are like, this is different, I like that, I'm gonna go check out this booth instead of just a tent, you know. And that's something we thought about at one point. We were like, vending would be so fun if we could just travel and
I could definitely see
be
you
in a
guys doing
van.
that.
Yeah.
I could definitely.
We'll roll it together.
Yeah.
And just go to music festivals.
Yeah.
That'd be
I mean, and
Yeah.
so that's
Here we
what's
go.
crazy. Like we were just we just had our meeting with our tax accountant, and not that he was saying this to make us feel bad, but more just like saying it how it is. But like the pandemic really like kind of fucked us business wise, just because like we sell in person, like that is our bread and butter. Going to festivals, we kill it at festivals. But like online, we're not selling vintage, so it's different. And he was like, yeah, just not a lot of activity. And I was like, yeah, the pandemic just, you know, it is what it is. You know, we did a lot of podcasts. But I was just like, yeah, man, like I can't wait to just go to a festival. And I feel like you individually or the three of you together would kill it at a festival selling vintage. So
we're hoping, I'm hoping this summer there's going to be like some type of pop-up things, or so we can get a feel of like a market type thing.
I can tell you right now, like for example, like Otis Mountain Get Down, which I'm always willing to shamelessly plug them because that's how we got our start really. It's like a $200 festival fee for 2 days. And like if you were to split that between 3 people, I mean that's like nothing.
And you get
our first year we sold almost $1,000 in 2 days, and that was like getting paid to literally just like meet a bunch of cool people who are like down with the same type of stuff and like get to listen to like the dopest music. It's like a magical weekend, but it's just like to walk away and be like, yo, we sold out of like half our inventory at that just for like no one selling to people who didn't even know it existed. And there's really no vintage being sold there. So, and I know from the last time I heard they were looking for like newer types of businesses coming there. So I don't know, just like something like that is like something I think either you individually or like the three of you should definitely consider. Cause like there's obviously with COVID protocols being like lifted periodically, we don't really know what festivals are going to actually happen this year, but
are you signed up for a Lovely Time?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've never. What is that?
That's so you know Nick Feely who lives here, or Drew and Nick Feely and another one of their friends, Charlie helps work at the flower skate shop. They run a music festival at Snow Ridge. And it's just like a 2-day festival, a bunch of
hell yeah.
It's like it's like literally like all
it's happening this year.
They couldn't do it last year because of COVID, obviously. And so this year they're doing it again, and this year it's gonna be its best year. I'm just foreseeing this happening. But I mean, we the last year that we had it, there was like a vendor village. So the first year, the vendors were kind of like, not because of anyone's fault, just like first time running a festival, certain things kind of get overlooked, and then you learn from that process. But the vendors were kind of off in a place where it didn't get a ton of traffic, and then we were all placed in the festival area where like everyone just has to walk by. And everyone just like thrived a lot more, and there was a lot more like networking and people interacting and selling. And so yeah, like I feel like you again, like you or the three of you collectively would like do really well at something like that. But I know this year,
and at the very least, it's good networking.
yeah, I mean, it's once you go to one festival and see like how that vibe is, like you were saying, like being stuck in downstairs is tough. After a while, you kind of want to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, you guys are getting me so
just
excited.
being outside for
to,
and you get to like you know drink a little bit, and like no one's gonna get mad at you for drinking a beer while you're selling them a shirt or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like encouraged.
100%.
It's just like
I know I shop more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's just like well, the other thing is like it's easier to talk to people at a festival because everyone's just relaxed a little bit, you know. They're there to have a good time, so there's less pressure if you feel pressure when you're like in a selling situation. Like half the time what I've learned is like it's easiest to sell something to someone once like they just feel comfortable around you. And so like we just kind of don't even try to sell stuff to people. We just like shoot the shit with everyone, and then by the end of the conversation, they're buying like a hat or a shirt, not because I told them to, but because they're like, I fuck with you, I'm gonna buy this. I'm
that's
like,
dope.
and it's like I'm not trying to ploy you into doing that. Like I genuinely just want to like get to know you. But like if you want to buy something and like help support me, like sick. So yeah, and
personal connection is huge.
Yeah,
is huge with businesses. Yeah,
it's great, and I think more entrepreneur people our age who are selling goods, like festivals are a great way to branch out of the online space. Where you're going to make more genuine connections than just selling something to someone online, and maybe you don't even ever meet that person. And it's so cool, like, especially when someone from, I don't know, somewhere across the country buys something from you. You're like, whoa, didn't expect that. But like, what's your connection to that person other than they bought something?
Yeah.
So I think it's just cool to branch out and experience that. And it gives you like a new perspective on being an entrepreneur, you know, like funding an experience that you would do on your free time anyways, but now you're getting paid to do that experience, which is a unique twist on like going to a festival.
Yeah, and change up gears here, but outside of selling vintage clothing, do you have any other hobbies or interests that you like doing?
Nothing that like I can say I do enough to, I don't know, say I'm like good at. I do love music festivals. I love music and dancing, so music festivals are a huge thing. Very into hip hop and house music, stuff like that. And then I dabble.
E-Forest, you were saying?
Yeah.
And then I do dabble in like a lot of arts and stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm like that good at anything. But I do love drawing and painting.
So like naturally creative.
Yeah, and I try to express it, but I wouldn't say it's like anything that I do too much of a hobby, you know. Yeah, fashion is my main thing, and just creating. I do love creating like photos, like I know, like selfies, but I do love putting together outfits, you know. So yeah, that's what I really love doing.
Yeah, and especially like on your Fawnd vintage, all the photos are super clean. Yeah, it just looks really cohesive, nice. Yeah, aesthetic wise, it's very I like it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong either. Like, not that I think I was like trying to pry in that way, but it's just like sometimes, like I always process this certain ways, but like not everyone wants to like do a million things. Like sometimes it's okay to just focus on like for example, like you're into fashion and selling vintage. Like if that's like all you do all the time, like there's nothing wrong with that, because like you're honing a skill in that one like area. Whereas like some people like me and Kyle are doing like a trillion other things. And that's fine too. It's just like, you know, whatever works for you, I guess, as an individual. Which it sounds like, you know, like what you like to do, and you stick to that, and it seems to do pretty well for yourself. So
yeah, and I have a bunch of like little things. I just don't do it that often that I would say that it's like a hobby. Hopefully I can start saying I can get into roller skating.
Ooh.
I have roller skates, but I've done it a couple times. I think I am getting discouraged about how much I've fallen though. So I need to get pads for that. But yeah, I love trying new things. And I think the winter, I do struggle with seasonal depression. So I do think I do less during the winter, but once you see me in the summer, I'll be out trying
In full
new things,
form.
doing new things again. Yeah. I come out of my shell during the warmer months for sure.
That's Syracuse for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's, man, living here, and
It's a
especially like
struggle.
living here, and at least for us, our entire life, it's just like, I almost like don't even realize it because I've grown up with it. And granted, I like skied most of my life, but now I can't ski anymore just due to like personal injuries. And like this past winter was like the first time I like fully felt the seasonal depression for the first time in like 25 years. I was like, oh shit, I get it now. I'm like, God, I kind of don't like living here in the winter. It kind of sucks.
Even though this winter wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't
Not at
bad.
all.
It's like, and I'm just thinking back to
But-
like some of those worst winters where I wasn't like noticing it. And I'm like, damn, I totally feel for how people like, I always thought like, it's not that bad. Like, why do people hate winter so much? And I'm like,
I
I
really
get it now.
I really don't like it. And like I said, I would moved by now, but it's really just family that's keeping me here, you know, because California looks amazing.
Hell yeah.
Although
Let's go.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Although people tell me I might not like it because of how fake people are out there.
Well, we're the real
And-
people, so we can bring light
Yeah,
to
you're
it.
right. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I think
Well, I think it's
I
certain,
think I would
like,
really like.
it's definitely like
California.
certain pockets of California. Because like I've been to
Yeah, you
different,
can't generalize
I've
all
I've
of
been to
it.
different parts of California, and like, not that I've been to LA specifically, but I haven't been to LA like on purpose because I already know I wouldn't vibe super hard with the LA crowd. I'm more of like a Northern Cal kind of vibe, like Lake Tahoe vibe. Just, it feels more like Vermont than it does like, I don't even know. Like I can't really say you can compare an LA person to like anyone else in the country.
What's that mean though? Like I've heard this multiple times where like you're saying people in California they're fake, but like what does that mean from the people that have said that? Like,
I guess in contrast to like New York people being real, just people try to fit in more there, and they don't express how they feel
Like
as much.
authentically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not as authentic there, and
like more PC, or not PC, but like hush hush, like I don't know, because it's like weird because it's all about like self-expression and like creativity and stuff, but at the same time it's like you have to be creative or self-expressive only in a certain way.
yeah, I
It's
think
like how open-minded are we here when this is what the whole point of the being out in California and like exchanging ideas is all about, you know?
yeah.
Well, that's why I said LA specifically, because I don't think it's all of California. I just think like LA, Hollywood, that vibe is like, how many clicks and followers can I get for doing a stupid video because it's trendy?
It's like
And-
Hollywood then.
Well, LA, like all
Yeah.
those people move to LA to be a part of Hollywood and all
makes
that
sense.
bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I shouldn't even generalize everyone from there because I'm sure there's some cool people who live there. But if you're comparing it to New York City, stark difference for sure. Like New York City is like a horse in itself, and like those people are, I just feel like those are like true hustlers. Like everyone's trying to do their own unique, authentic thing, and it's just like it's raw and real. And there's
Well,
no,
you've been there. What's it like?
I just don't think there's as much
I completely agree.
glamour to
Okay.
New York City.
Yeah.
New York City's more like, if you're not willing to get punched in the jaw today, you might not want to live here.
Yeah, if you don't want to see a rat that looks or is as big as a cat carrying
Right.
around, carrying some dollar slice pizza around, you don't want to live. Yeah, New York is definitely not for like, I don't know the week, but like, I've definitely like a lot of like freshmen in college have moved back to Florida or, wherever they're from because they couldn't handle it. Like you definitely have to have like
It's like
a
thick
strong
skin.
will. Yeah, thick skin. Yeah, to
Yeah.
handle New York. And I don't know. LA definitely doesn't seem, or it seems like that in a different way. But New York is
Like more pretentious, maybe. In LA.
Yeah, and that's where it comes. Yeah, I think you have to be more fake.
You're not one of us.
Yeah.
Whereas like
that.
New York's just like, if you're not fucking grinding your face off every day, I don't care.
I've been told that in your lifetime, it's always good to spend a year in New York City and 1 year in California, and like
just to
see
compare
the stark.
I think I do need to go to California.
Literally the two extremes.
Yeah.
I need
of
to
this
see it for
country.
myself.
Yeah.
I would love if there was a city in California, like by the beach, but people acted like New York City. That sounds like a dream. I would love a New York City. Like,
I don't know if there is like maybe San Francisco.
They're
Yeah.
like tech heavy and like. They
But
grind.
I guess that feels more like a New York vibe though.
Yeah.
Because
I would say that's a good.
I was gonna say San Diego, but from everything I've heard about San Diego, it's pretty chill there.
They're
like,
super laid back.
It's
I
like
I would love to go
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
If
San
anything, I would
Diego's-
feel like San Diego would be the exact opposite of New York City in terms of like not being hectic as fuck and everyone being like, yeah, our meeting's at 3, so if you show up at 4, no one will
Yeah.
care.
They're all just surfer.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know.
That
just
sounds
taking
like
a nap.
Yeah.
that sounds cool too, though. Bring a little weird to San Diego. I would like to do that.
Yeah, true.
That sounds cool. Yeah, I don't think when I say or when I tell people I want to move to or I'd like to go to California, I think they assume it's LA, but I don't mean LA. I mean San Diego and Northern Cal looks amazing too.
Yeah.
I think LA is probably one of the last places I'd want to visit in California.
So you haven't visited California at all then?
No, Michigan is as far as west as I've been.
right.
Yeah, but all those
Good
states
old
you
Michigan.
named, Washington looks amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
Washington's
U-
beautiful.
Utah, like my friend moved to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, like all those places. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm sad I haven't gotten to them yet, but every time I've traveled, I'm like, I want to go out of the country. Like I want to do extreme. Like I've
Mhm.
never, I don't know. I was kind of unattracted to just going visiting more American places when there's the whole world,
Good point.
you know. And there's
Yeah.
still so much to see. Like I've only been to 2 other continents. I feel pressured. Like I'm time constrained. Like I have to get to everything.
Oh, no, believe me. Like, so recently I taught myself every country in the world. Like I can list off every
No,
country.
you can't.
100%. All 197 countries, including all of the island countries and everything. Yeah. I take like daily quizzes on it to see how fast I can do it.
What?
Yeah, it's dumb. It's like a weird skill. But once I like learned all of them, I was like, shit, there's so many places to see. I don't know if I can possibly like make it to all of them.
Mhm.
Like only like one person is like 1 or 2 people have ever done it. So it's like not
Really?
Every country?
Yeah. There's someone who
That's
there's
fucking
someone who did
amazing.
it recently who like finished it, and it took them like 5 or 6 years of like traveling to
That's
do
not
it.
bad.
Yeah, but that's still like traveling like a lot.
All the yeah, like no break.
Yeah, and like they're not just there for like a day; they're there for like a while. You have
Mhm.
because like I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go travel because if you wanted to just go to every country and say you went there, you could probably do it in a year if you just.
I would just
said-
book flights to every
Yeah, it's just
airport.
like I'm here for
And just
literally
go
an
to-
hour.
Fly over it. Oh,
Yeah.
been
No,
there.
these people were like spending like some time in each place.
Okay,
and,
but still
like-
only 5 years.
Yeah, but
Let's
like,
make it happen.
but also like they.
Let's go.
How do you fund something like that? Like you
You
need
don't.
money to be able to.
It was
You
probably
just
a
sell
rich guy,
vintage.
wasn't it?
Well, also
Yeah,
like talking with.
Wait,
Yeah.
taking this van
We live
idea
day
to
by
another
day.
level.
So we'll just get a different van and trick it out in each continent and then use it like we'll have the African van and we'll travel in Africa and then we'll just sell it or whatever
Hey,
and then
yeah.
get one in Europe.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like so I
Silk Road van.
Nick Sheridan, who lives here at the Gear Factory, he's an avid traveler. And he spends a lot of time in like India and
Mhm.
like South Asian countries is what at least recently he's traveled a lot. But he was talking about how his next trip is most likely going to be somewhere in like Mozambique, somewhere in like southwestern or southeastern Africa. And I was talking to him just about like, well, like feasibly, like how much does it cost to be there, and like for how long do you think you could like sustain being there for before you'd have to like come back or whatever. And he's like, it's like very, very cheap to be in Africa. Like you could be in Africa for months at a time and not like feel like you have to come back super, super quick because you're like burning all your cash. So that makes it seem more attainable to go travel in foreign places and be there for enough time to feel like you really got that full like experience.
Well, that's why everyone wants to come to United States, is because the dollar is so powerful. And like everywhere else, when you bring the dollar there, it's like you're paying pennies on the dollar to be able to eat food and like living expenses and stuff.
But maybe that's why, well, I mean, I guess I'm sure Europe is relatively similar in terms of like how much it costs to like do stuff. But still, like if like I could go to Africa and see like 7 countries in one trip and feel like I got the same out of that as I did paying to just go to like one state for like a week, it's like shit, like what am I doing going and seeing one state and maybe like a few places in that state and being like, damn, just flying here was expensive. Like you know,
that's why
because you can like pond skip in like Europe for cheap, right?
Everything is so close in Europe, so it's the flights in between each other, you know. We looked into also taking the train, but we didn't have time. But like you buy one train pass and you get access to so many different countries in Europe. It's definitely way more attractive than traveling the States.
It's like the Centro in New York, where that one card has access to like all the subway kind of thing. It's like a combined system. I haven't looked at it in a while, but you can go online and you can choose different passes. And you can choose different countries that you want to go to. So there's like different itineraries. So that's like really cool to plan a whole like backpacking trip. Well, what about riding bikes? Would you ever do that?
Yeah.
It'd be cheaper.
I would. Yeah.
Well,
maybe not for too long, but yeah.
Well, that's what I feel like. If you are someone who's not from United States and you're coming to the United States to travel, like it only makes sense to travel like if you're gonna like either be willing to spend a shit ton of money on flying around, which like it's not cheap to fly in America at all. Like even if I want to fly to Chicago, it's still like a round trip between here and Chicago, still like on a normal not COVID times, still gonna be like $350 or something, which is like shit. I can drive there. It may take me 10 hours, but that's
$100 more
still
bucks, you could go to Paris.
Right. It's just like at that point, might as well go to Europe and then you could see Paris and then fly to like 6 other countries and it still would cost about that much. And it's just like, fuck, why do we live here?
Yeah.
Well, if you're saying it's like cheaper to go to other countries, maybe it's something it would be feasible just like in the winter when it's terrible weather out here.
Go somewhere
and then maybe we end up spending less money in a different country by just going away for 3 months at a time. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I could just go away for 3 months at a time. I mean, I could.
And with your online business, like if you get that popping off or whatever and you get a stream of income, maybe it is possible because of how cheap it is to live somewhere else. I don't know, but that would be a cool experiment to play out.
I mean, that's what's nice. We're young, so we can have these thoughts and
fuck up a little bit.
Well, yeah, you know, just I don't know. It's I feel like our generation is a generation that it's going to be more common to see people wanting to travel and do.
Hopefully, it's more like it all comes back to money. It really does.
Yeah.
But if we can figure out ways to get more like passive income or income streams through the internet, then that makes the world a smaller place in the sense of like you're able to sustain yourself while you travel. So hopefully there's like more types of markets or something on the internet that allow us to do that.
Well, I mean, like I will say, just because of the internet, there's more millionaires than ever. Not saying that I think more millionaires is a good thing, because like anyone having that much money to too much money to a certain extent, I think, is negligent to like humanity's sake, just because like there's people who literally have dirt, and it's not because they're not trying, but it's just because the opportunities aren't available. But I will say the internet has opened the door of opportunity for a lot of people that didn't have it prior. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see, like, in just our lifetime, like, the opportunities that are available to people and how many more people will have the ability to go travel that couldn't before. Because if you think about just, like, our grandparents, for example, like, they grew up in a time where, like, if you weren't already rich, you were basically stuck working for the rich people, and they were just okay with that too. Like, a lot of people are just like 9 to 5. This is my job. Got to put food on the table. Just a hard grinding, like work, like blue collar type style.
Yeah, because how else do you get out of that situation?
Right.
Really?
You're just like, and there was no
other
there was no internet to tell you like, oh, there's other things out there.
Yeah, how to get out there. Yeah.
You know,
you read the newspaper. The newspaper's not going to tell you
right.
how to get out of there.
They want you to
suppress. Yeah.
To keep reading the news.
It's interesting because it's like technology has created a power struggle in the world because now the established powers are slowly losing their grip on like all of humanity. It's like, oh shit, these people are thinking for themselves now. No. And it's just becoming more and more unstable for them to keep control over everyone all the time.
That's what tech does. Tech is our savior. I could preach about this, but
it's like it could be our savior.
Okay, so it could be, but it could also be our downfall. Yeah,
right.
That's the case. But like it creates a system. So like in a weird way, we are working for Instagram, but Instagram is empowering us to be able to like have our own platform to self-express, to sell clothing, blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah, we're working for the system still, but it's in a way that like benefits us personally.
Right. So, whereas at least back in the day, you work for the man, as they say, but you get paid dirt to do it, and you just have to accept that dirt is all you're ever gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comfortable. All my transactions on Depop and Holy Thrift, everything online goes through PayPal and Elon Musk, and I'm not very happy about that I'm giving some of my money to him every time. But yeah, it is what it is. You have to work with the system to get by, because there's really, but just like also fighting on an individual platform, protesting against it. And that's why I haven't bought anything from Amazon. I'm proud of it. It's been over a year actually, since last year January, because I knew, or when I learned about like how much money and how he became the richest, I was like, I'm not going to contribute to making this man any richer. I think there should be a cap on how much money someone can make, especially when their workers are struggling to meet their bills, or like Walmart employees are like the most, or like the Walmart company has the most employees on Medicaid or something, which I think is crazy because the Walton family is so rich. So yeah.
And like I agree, because like I was saying this earlier, like at some point it's like you've amassed enough wealth that any more will not change your standard of living. So what is the point of having more?
And they're so old.
And then it just becomes like power is really what it is. It's not really like I need this money because I want more stuff. It's just I need to, once you've like reached a certain level of power, a lot of people just become power hungry. And it's like like you have to think someone like Elon Musk, who, I mean, I definitely like Elon Musk a lot more than I like Jeff Bezos. But
me too, yeah.
Still, at some point you realize, like, if I say move, people are going to move for me. And if I didn't have all this wealth, people probably wouldn't move for me. So
you're talking about, like, if they come in with these huge warehouses and there's, like, housing developments there or something?
Right. Like, they basically can get what they want because of how wealthy they are. Because all you gotta do is pay off a couple politicians and they'll change the rule for you or whatever. And so, but like if we're taking like human ego out of it, just like logistically speaking, at some point, like if your company's making X amount more, that amount more should just be going towards, maybe it's not paying people because they didn't do the work to make that money, but maybe it's going towards funding education for the local community, or something that's beneficial to a lot more than just one person.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have to just be he decided to donate it. But it's like, all right, dude, you are a trillionaire. Like, you don't need like an extra $1 billion. Like, that $1 billion could literally save the city from poverty or whatever the fuck. So yeah, it's a sticky situation like that humanity is growing into, because the wealth gap, at least in our country, is just getting like worse. So
and they're not paying their taxes either, which I think
right,
is
because they get tax
crazy.
incentives. It's like, oh, you build this giant warehouse, we'll make you pay less taxes, even though you already are paying nothing in taxes. Meanwhile, I have to, we all have to pay whatever percent on top of our earnings, when like we're just doing that so we can survive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous how on an individual level how much we have to pay. And yeah, these corporations can get away with just all these loopholes of not paying taxes when they, I sound like Bernie Sanders, but they should be paying their fair share. Like, it's ridiculous.
It just almost in my,
we need to figure out a way where they can't just get through with all these loopholes.
Yeah.
That's really what it
we
comes
need to
down
close them, but how can we?
Not well, I guess like it's like, well, if there's no tax incentive, then why would they build here or here? It's like, well, the thing is, if there just never was an incentive.
Well, a lot of it is like they're just smart. They're beating the system. Like, if us as individuals had the ability and the knowledge that they had, we probably would be doing the same thing, but we don't. Like, hopefully with like the internet, we have access to it, but it's still like a pain in the ass to like try to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, but I'm saying even like Amazon, they're the big
just
tax.
have a lot of money.
Big tax incentive they get is by building warehouses in areas, because it creates jobs.
Well, that's the thing, because they're building warehouses, they pay for real estate, and real estate you can find loopholes to not pay taxes. Because of that reason, you're owning real estate, and unfortunately the opportunities for that only come to the rich that own real estate. So it's like, how would we be able to like find loopholes? Like, maybe like through businesses, as entrepreneurs, we're able to like put money aside and not get tax on our personal income, and then like offset it with the business. I don't know. There is ways to do it, but like I said, it's so difficult to try to navigate the system.
A lot of those people have
they pay people.
They have financial people that they pay to, who say, do this with your money or do that, and you'll get out of paying this, and this.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. It's shitty, but
it's also unethical. In my opinion, like whether like they're legally doing it through loopholes or not,
keeps the rich rich.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Even if I could figure out how to do it, I wouldn't want. I would never want to practice my business, unethically. So that's like the huge thing for me. I don't know how Jeff Bezos can like really sleep at night knowing how much wealth he has and how much good he could do, and just not falling through on it. I mean, but it's just a power thing. Like, he's in his head, and he I think he really thinks he deserves he deserves to like have more and more, which is just insane to me, of people like waiting in lines in food banks right now, and people are hoarding so much wealth. It's absolutely insane.
That's the fucking crazy thing is like, as technology grows and grows, like I'm all for technology, but like at the same time, on a humanitarian level, it causes the poor to get poorer, because all of these resources are getting amassed to Amazon,
that's scary,
big tech, and it's like, what do we do at that point?
What
to
are we
redistribute? And that's like where Andrew Yang comes in. Are you familiar with him?
I am, but I don't know what's his answer to that question.
UBI.
Yeah. So it's basically universal basic income. So he thinks that we find ways to like tax big technology, that we can redistribute wealth back to like all of us, but in a way where it's equal. So all of us, even the rich people, are going to get $1,000, just widespread across the board. Everyone gets an even cut of all of that tax that's built up.
Yeah.
Is it possible? I don't know. We've never done it before.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we kind of tested.
The stimulus checks are kind of a test.
So the only difference is the stimulus money is basically the government just decided, oh, we're just gonna create new money that wasn't in the system to pay all of you. Whereas this, which I think is bad because it creates inflation. And obviously the UBI topic is rather new, and it's been floating around with different talking heads who've bounced different like ways of going about it. But one I think is probably one of the better versions was an anti-inflationary method, and it was between Andrew Yang and Mark Cuban. They were talking about it, but it was basically the government creates money, whatever, once a month, and everyone gets a card or whatever with this money on it, and you get a certain amount of time to spend it. If you don't spend it during that time frame, the money disappears. It's gone for good. So that money is no longer creating inflation because it's not in the system anymore. It just disappears. But what it creates is it generates more demand, or is that demand, or just what's the word I'm looking for? Like everyone's
So it incentivizes people to spend the money.
Yeah, everyone's
so
like
that it doesn't just vanish.
The power of the dollar goes up for everyone because everyone now has that much more in spending power. So like if you think about that, like whatever, $1,000 times however many people in the country, if the spending power of the entire population goes up by that much money, like that's really good for just everyone, any business or whatever, because it's like, oh, I got $20 extra on this card. Oh, you're selling some stuff on your store? Here, sure, I'll buy a shirt from you, because it's like it's gonna disappear anyway, so might as well buy something.
Yeah.
So it's like it incentivizes shit like that.
And it deflationary. It causes a deflation because it takes money out of circulation if you don't spend it. So like it just completely vanishes, like you were saying. So if we're printing all this money, it creates inflation, so it devalues the dollar over time, which can create a issue later on, which is like the dollar end up like imploding, they say, and then the dollar that you once had isn't able to spend money on that shirt because it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
So like even though we're getting stimulus checks and that's good in the short term, a lot of economists are worried because this is causing like problems later on for society. And is this actually just making the rich more rich? Because it's pumping up the dollar, and the people with the most amount of dollars are able to reinvest that into other different assets. So basically that's like they tell you not to have cash because the dollar ends up inflating and then it loses value. So what do you do with it? You put your cash into something else that retains value. I know we're going on a tangent here, but so what the rich do is they invest in assets. So if you have your cash and put it into real estate or Bitcoin or like businesses, whatever it may be, then you're able to retain that value as the system's like crumbling on itself from inflation. They're able to like stay ahead.
Yeah, so stuffing cash in your mattress isn't the ideal thing to do anymore, right?
Well,
yeah.
Right, because like at some point you might get caught with your pants down because you're sitting on all this cash and now it's literally just a piece of paper.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So like that's why it's definitely hard to like talking with like even my parents, because they're from like a generation that just thought very different, way more conservatively about how you should go about using your money. Now it's like, yeah, you gotta do more with your money than in past generations, because
we have to be educated. It's scary because the system is having huge changes, especially with technology, and it's like, what if the fucking system blows up and then what?
Yeah.
Like you want to have money some way. So it's like finding these ways of like storing wealth and like safe havens if there is a collapse.
And you think Bitcoin is like a safe place to do that? Because
I could go on and on about Bitcoin.
I saw you posting about it today, so I have a little money in Bitcoin, but like,
oh hell yeah, I think it's.
I know Dogecoin is getting huge right now.
So I think Dogecoin is just a hype train. Everyone get on board.
I'm excited to see it tomorrow though.
Yeah, you'll probably.
I have some in Dogecoin right now. I was watching.
You do?
You'll probably make a quick buck, but it's
Should I buy some tonight for tomorrow?
I mean, maybe. I don't see. My thing is, I don't know.
I'm like a
Like,
little tipsy about this
I don't-
Dogecoin.
I don't know. Like, so for anyone who hasn't been paying attention to this, and I'll just speak on it. Because I initially invested in Dogecoin the first time it like went to the moon. Unfortunately, I like should have just held on to it for what's happening now, but like there's no way I could have foreseen a meme becoming a meme again. I was talking with my friend earlier about this, but I think initially I invested and I had like 7,000 shares of Dogecoin because it was like less than I think I bought it at like 3 cents. It's now currently at 40. Well, last time I looked before this podcast, it was at like 40 cents. So if you do the math, if I had 7,000 shares at 3 cents, how much money I'd have. And I sold it when it hit like, it went up to 8 cents, which would have made me like $500 in like, mind you, in like 5 minutes. I bought it and then it went up to 8 cents and I was like up $500 and I was like, holy shit. And then it dropped like that. Like people just sold because people put a lot of money into it right off the rip. Now, recently, it went up to like 40 cents. So people had it at 4 cents and it went up to 40 cents. So you do the math, they made a lot of fucking money, whoever had a lot of shares. But yeah, I read that they're saying they want to make tomorrow, for some reason, 420.
They want to ruin my favorite holiday.
They want to make it the holiday for Dogecoin. And they're saying that tomorrow's the day that it's going to rip to $1 and then everyone's going to basically sell out. And then that's going to be the end of Dogecoin.
We'll see.
So maybe it's a good idea. I don't want to be the person to tell you.
My friend said they're gonna try to get up to 69 cents. That's what my friend said. 69 on 420.
Like the only reason I'm saying $1 is just because $1 is like the initial like goal that everyone had set, which I thought was never possible after I watched how easily people were able to just like sell out at 8 cents. I was like, if we're only selling out at 8 cents, we're never making it to $1 because 8 cents is not even close.
Yeah.
But
so
now
you have some right now?
I did have some in Dogecoin and then I sold it just because I saw Bitcoin was doing better. Like I put both into both of them and then I sold that and I put all of it into Bitcoin. And then this happened. That was probably the smarter decision. Yeah, but I like you, I didn't know this would have happened.
Right.
How much do you know about it?
Not as much as you guys for sure. Like I've bought a book on stocks and like I know, but like not as much as you guys for sure. And cryptocurrency is still very new to me.
Yeah. Is this something you're open to learning about?
Oh yeah.
You could
talk to me about it because I would love to know more. I was very curious about your stories today.
I will say based on like the two, if you want to like for anyone who's interested or just you in general, like the difference between a Dogecoin and a Bitcoin is Dogecoin is actually
worthless.
It is worthless. You can't do anything with a Dogecoin. And there's no cap to the amount of Dogecoin available, meaning it's actually
you can buy stuff with it, but it's kind of valueless because it's like unlimited amount in circulation.
Right. So that's the difference. Bitcoin, there is a finite amount of Bitcoin that will ever be available, and it hasn't all been mined yet, but once it is, that's it. And
how much left is there to mine?
So
but do we know?
The end amount of Bitcoin that's mined is 2040 or 2140. 20 fuck, look it up on Google. But yeah, so once all of that's mined, then there's 21 million in circulation, but you have to account for like people losing their wallets, like people just like randomly forgetting about their account. So there's 21 million coded, but eventually over time it'll get lower than that, and that'll be it. That's all the Bitcoin.
So when it gets lower, that means the value will go up a bit, though, right?
Yes.
And as more people get into it, it's going up.
Right.
So it's like this double.
So it was smart to put all my money in Bitcoin.
It's a good long-term play.
So there's predictions of one Bitcoin being worth anywhere between 100,000 to 1 million. So and so one of my podcasts that I listen to, they talk about investing a lot as like one of their topics. As they also talk about like celebrities and like random shit, but
Good mix.
yeah, it's just like random like topics that people are interested in. But they were talking specifically about how like Coinbase just did their IPO and like how that's big for the crypto world because that's, you know, a crypto wallet. And they were talking with ex-employees of Coinbase about the future of crypto. And they're like, how far in percentage-wise do you think we are in the cryptocurrency like sphere
Of growth.
And they're like, oh, about like 5%.
That's it.
So like
Yeah.
we were doing the math, and it'll if that's right, then it'll 20x from here on out. So that puts Bitcoin at $1 million, and so it's really early.
Yeah. So like even if you feel like you probably have heard the stories of people like, yeah, back in like 2013, I like someone gifted me a Bitcoin or I bought a Bitcoin and then I sold it after that first, like at the time it seemed like the most crazy like exponential growth, and then it dropped off to nothing, and people like sold off or whatever, and they're like, damn, I could have been like a multi-millionaire if I just like held on to it. It's like, if you think that you missed out because of that experience, you're wrong, because it's most likely going to go a lot. Well, it already is higher than that first, you know, growth period that they saw. Like, what was that, like 4 or 5 years ago?
It was
When it went to like 30.
2017.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, it's just even the fact that you have any investment in it now, you're ahead of like 95% of the population. More than
That makes me feel good.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then so the other topic that Kyle just started, and I'm gonna start delving into a little bit, is it's called DeFi, but it's basically lending your crypto investment to make like a passive income, making like dividends off like your investment being lended out.
Like
Was that what you posted about today?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
like, if you're going to the bank and you're getting a loan from the bank, then you as the person getting that loan has to pay interest to the bank. So like how our system is now, and then think about like how the bank, how you are paying interest in the bank. So where's that money go? Well, the bank gets that interest. But now with DeFi, it's decentralizing it. So us as just regular everyday people are able to act as banks to loan out our Bitcoin to other people.
That's nice.
So then we get that interest rather than the banks do in the traditional system.
How's DeFi make their money?
DeFi is just a term for like decentralized finance, but like you have to use platforms. Like there's one called Celsius, there's one called Nexo. So they're apps. So I go onto Celsius, I say I have like 1 Bitcoin, let's say, and then I loan that out to another person, and then I can build interest. So I get paid by the person loaning it out, and then DeFi takes like a small proportion of that. Yeah. So they're able to like get money from transactions.
But you're also getting money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why
And
does
you
this
can have
happen
passive
sooner?
income.
Yeah.
It is happening.
Well,
It's
so
now.
ready?
No, I know.
Ready?
But I
So
feel
let
like it should
me
have
follow
happened
this up.
sooner.
So that same podcast, after they asked about how much growth opportunity is there in crypto still, and they said we're only 5% in, DeFi 1% in. So like this is like
it's early.
Like finding out about DeFi now is like finding out about Bitcoin when it first started.
All right,
that's about
we're
where
hopping
at.
on all of this after.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Oh, I'm excited.
But
So-
this is like very promising for just like us as regular everyday people, because like how we're saying, like there's these rich people that have amassed so much wealth, but like how do we get a cut of that? So like by investing into Bitcoin, you're investing in like the future of how technology is going. Just like if you invest in Tesla, you're putting your investment in now so you can let your money grow to where you think the future of technology will be. So if we think that Bitcoin's going to be like a thing that takes over the world, then you're going to win out on that. So I think it's really good for us to learn about, because it's just empowering, and it gives us a chance to like learn about finance in a way that's like exciting and like how we feel in control.
Yeah.
It's just like if you were to put money into a business, like you're hoping that your business of Fawnd is going to grow over time. Same thing with stocks. in like Bitcoin, crypto, and stuff.
Yeah. The only difference is with crypto and like a normal stock is normal stock investing is the traditional financial route that your parents have probably done to make wealth over the years, is like investing in building a portfolio of different investments and hoping that over time grows and they can use that for their retirement. Whereas this is like the new frontier. It's something that our parents can't even like fully grasp a lot of. Like my parents are not investing in crypto at all. They don't even care about its existence, or they don't even know to even talk about it. And that's what's great for us, because even like someone like Warren Buffett just started investing in like technology stuff, and we're like almost 10 years into Bitcoin being a thing. So like if someone like that rich and powerful doesn't even like have a grasp on it, we're at an advantage for being young and being open-minded enough to even like consider it. So yeah, it's a very exciting, especially as an entrepreneur. Like we're talking about wanting to travel and do all this stuff. Like this is our opportunity.
And when you asked how can we have passive income, I knew you wanted to answer yourself and be like, Bitcoin. Because that's definitely it.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, you get it. Like if Bitcoin's a thing, it opens the door for us to, because the thing is like with DeFi, with Celsius, you can earn 6% interest on that. So you have to amass a lot of capital to be able to like make that livable. But the opportunity is there. So if you're able to somehow manage to get $1 million and put it in, or like invest now and build your wealth to $1 million with Bitcoin, then you just leave that there and you get interest, and you could essentially use all that money to just travel,
because then you don't have
passively for free. Well, financial independence, like is what they say.
I think for the longest time, my whole thing with Bitcoin and why it took me a while to get into like investing in it was like, well, if I make money in Bitcoin, like at some point I need to pull out of it so that I can use it to fund stuff. And now basically with DeFi, I don't need to pull out of anything, because I'm now just making dividends off of that investment. So there's no need to touch it, because like, especially if it's going to go where it's going to go, you don't want to sell that.
Yeah.
Like one of like the regulars on CNBC, like their financial channel, he said he sold half of his Bitcoin that he bought at 30,000. He pulled it out to pay off like a mortgage.
Oh, Jim Cramer.
Yeah. And everyone was like, you're a dumbass. Because like, yeah, cool, you paid off your mortgage, but also you paid 30% cap gains on that. So you didn't even get all of the value that it gave you. And now that Bitcoin that you sold is going to be worth like so much more in the next like year even. Like you could have waited a year and taken out even less of a percent of your Bitcoin to sell off your mortgage if you really wanted to do it that way. So like any financially sound person would tell you not to do that.
And he was on a financial channel.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know, some people are probably going to say I'm crazy, but like I sold off all my mortgage and I don't have that anymore. And it's like, okay.
Don't admit this on TV.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, dude. Like, you probably paid more in cap gains than you had to pay for your fucking mortgage. But, like, do what you gotta do. Like, I mean, I guess if you have enough money, then it doesn't matter to some extent. But
yeah, and to kind of like expand on this topic, I think like a good way to approach Bitcoin is that like we want to have the freedom to live our life how we please. So like, yeah, you're doing Fawnd, we're doing Boho Hobo, but is this going to be something sound for the next 10, 20 years where we're going to be living off of this financially and being able to pay the bills and have a family if we want to do that? Probably not. Like this is something fun and enjoyable for us to do, and it's our outlet for creativity. Yeah, we want it to blow up, and if that's the case, then yeah, we would be able to live off of it. But once you get to side topic, but once we get to that like level of wealth and fame and stuff, it gets a little unstable and rocky, so it's hard to like raise family. But like again, reiterating, like Bitcoin allows us to have that financial independence and use our money to work for us, so then we can have the financial freedom to just go and do whatever we want to do creatively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope for the best. This is gonna be like me personally, I think it's the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna take over the whole financial system.
Not even just here, like worldwide.
Yeah, it's gonna be what they say, the global reserve. So like right now, how the dollar is so powerful, I think Bitcoin's gonna end up taking that over, and then everything's gonna be based around Bitcoin, and like everything is going digital as it is. So
Love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hate coins in my purse, so
yeah,
I'm anti coins in my purse. Pro Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's really, I guess the big thing is like figuring out, because you just inherently have to know that because there is the opportunity for that to happen, that just means that every person in power, governments, are gonna squirm while it happens. And when they squirm, we don't necessarily get treated the best way. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that power struggle kind of goes down, because Bitcoin is decentralized, so it's not like Bitcoin's not answering to anyone, you know. So power in numbers, really. I feel like the more people who soundly believe in Bitcoin, it doesn't matter what the government wants to do. It's kind of going to be overpowered when the whole world is like, nah, fuck you guys. Like, this is our currency.
So yeah, it is like a rebellion on the financial system.
Well,
I
mean, that's a theme of the whole thing. It's like we're talking about sustainability, and like how the reason why sustainability has been hard over the years is because people in power with money have made it hard to be sustainable, because oh, we don't want to use hemp because that's going to put us out of business. Fuck you kind of shit. And this is like our chance to get back at that.
Yeah, this is sustainable, like a sustainable financial system. That's essentially what it's creating. So
yeah, dollar's a little too unstable.
Yeah,
it's exciting. For just Bitcoin for a long time, it's just, I think it's confusing to a lot of people, so that's why it's so slow. I remember talking to my friend back in 2014 when I did inherit some money from a family member, and I actually invested in a portfolio like all my old folks told me. And just looking back, I realized that I do wish I invested in Bitcoin, kept it in there. But I did not understand it at all back then.
I don't think a lot of people did.
And I feel like it's hard to even put that on yourself, because like there's no way for you to have known where it is today. Even in 2014, I don't know if the people who were fully invested in it were like, it's gonna reach this level.
Well, the thing is that
my friend was very confident.
Oh,
he was like a little too confident.
Some people are definitely like very confident, but
well, the thing is that you have to have wide adoption of it. It's like any trend or cultural shift. Like, in order for that thing to be a thing, everyone in that network has to approve of it. So Bitcoin could be like the unicorn of value, but if no one approves of it, then it's not going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, things like major institutions starting to invest in it is a good sign, at least, that there's important people who are willing to adopt it, which makes me feel more comfortable, like wanting to invest in it, knowing that like it's not just like a bunch of dudes in their mom's basement being like, yo, this thing is going to be the next best thing.
Yeah.
It's like someone who's like a sound business person is saying this is a good investment. You're like, all right, I better hop on this now before it's gonna be hard to like make a lot of money off of it. Because like at some point it's gonna reach its like level of value where it's not gonna fluctuate too much from that value. So now it's like the gold, basically, like we're saying 5%, like this is the time, like this is like finding out about gold in California before anyone else did, before that shit got mined out, and then you're traveling across the country and you get there and all the fucking gold's gone.
Mine the gold first, and then we're going to Cali.
Yeah, then we go to California when we can afford it.
Exactly.
Or I don't know, California's on fire all the time, so maybe not.
well, we talked a lot about Bitcoin. Hope you were interested.
I am.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had a feeling.
it's definitely a topic that comes up a lot, and some people you can tell like right off the bat, it's like not a place we're gonna go very far with. So
Yeah.
we just kind of like divert off of it because we're like,
Uh-huh.
all right, they do not invest in Bitcoin. Okay, cool. On to the next, but no, that's cool that you're.
Open-minded to it.
Yeah,
Definitely. I'm glad we got to talk about it more too.
yeah, it's definitely an ongoing conversation. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of like put this all into like a package, because I feel like we talked a lot about you and your business and all this stuff. I know, like you were saying, you have plans for New York and you're excited about the Cherry Pit and all this. I guess, like, is there anything like exciting coming up in the next few months with just like anything you're and any of your business endeavors or anything you're looking forward to with all the stuff that you're doing? Or is it just let's just keep ripping?
I'm ripping right now. Nothing really planned too big. I'm hoping to, start planning stuff that you guys are bringing up, like festivals. That sounds really good. Networking, just traveling to different places and finding cool stuff for everyone. I mean, the only thing I really have planned is New Orleans later this year, which is a really fun city that I love going to. And I found some really cool vintage down there the first time. It was before I started selling in 2019. So that's the only thing right now is trying to go south and find some vintage down there. And New York City. I have another trip to New York City in 2 weeks. So finding stuff down there is the plan. But yeah, nothing else other than that. I haven't planned much because I didn't know what this year would be like,
True.
After how long the lockdown lasted last year. I didn't know I'd be getting my vaccine and, being able to do stuff. So I'm just going to see where it takes me.
That's awesome. Do you want to share where people can find you and all your socials and stuff to stay up to date with everything you're doing or the Cherry Pit? Yeah.
So Fawnd Vintage. I have Instagram. It's just FAWND Vintage. And then the Cherry Pit is _ the Cherry Pit on Instagram.
Cool. And I know that the three of you post on Cherry Pitt pretty much every day.
Yeah, we post a lot of new arrivals, and yeah, we try to do more of like the actual posts. I post the most on our Instagram, I believe. So that's up to me to post more. But we always have new arrivals coming in. Yeah, every time we work, we always post that.
And you were mentioning earlier with the Cherry Pit that you're selling online as well. So is that through the McCarthy Mercantile, or is that through your own like Cherry Pit website?
So for the Cherry Pit, just Instagram. When we post new arrivals on Instagram, people DM us, and if they're interested in buying online, we can ship to them. Or some people have paid and then they'll pick it up later. So that's how we're selling online. Okay. Yeah, no website.
Like Venmo or whatever.
No, that's actually a good idea though. You save money not having a website. And if people know to do that.
Website is a lot of work. I tried for Fawnd, but it's a lot of upkeep if you don't have a big following. So that's why I stick.
The subscription fees are really expensive.
Yeah. So definitely need a larger following for a website. And Depop, I'm like on the fence about Depop. I really don't like selling on Depop as much anymore. So yeah, I think selling through Instagram is like a good thing. So yeah, we ship to anybody that wants our stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that's good info for anyone who's listening to know that.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. Yeah.
You can get it wherever.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to say to the people before we sign off here?
Thank you for listening. I had so much fun, but that's it.
Thanks for the wine. The matcha wine was actually
that was
not bad. I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
And our last question of the day.
Oh yeah.
We asked everyone this. So like we're talking about technology and like this possibility. Well, there is a possibility that like AI could take over and like all this crazy shit in the future. this actually like literally keeps me up at night, like thinking that technology is gonna destroy us. But we got each other's backs, like humanity's sticking together. So I'm trying to figure out, and like through Boho Hobo, we're trying to figure out like what bridges us together. Like what does it mean to be human? And
so the question
Yeah.
for you is, what does it mean to be human to you?
What what defines a lot of my humanity is empathy and connecting with others in that way and being able to feel each other's emotions, the sadness and happiness in our lives. So I think that's a huge part of me, or what considers me human, is to be able to understand other people's feelings and feel their pain and want to help them and want to, like, you know, want to make things better for them. I think that's a huge thing about being human, is understanding one another and not being in your own feelings or your own experiences. So that's it for me.
Yeah.
And expanding on that, so what kind of impact do you want to leave on humanity?
I want people to be able to I don't know.
It's a big
Yeah.
idea.
There's
Big
a lot of
question.
ideas that like I would love to leave an impact, but I think
And maybe it's not you personally, but I guess in general, what do you think would be best for humanity?
I do think if people tried to understand each other more and tried to empathize and stop using their own experiences as their law of life, or, you know, like saying this is right because this is how I experienced it. I think we can make a lot of change if we tried to understand other people's experiences and, you know, making change through that and understanding that life is not just through your lens. There's 7 billion other lenses, you know, that people look through. So I think that's the first step to making a change, is understanding that not everybody lives the same life as you and has the same experiences.
And that's like, all right, we're getting on a good topic. Let's keep going. So like with social media right now, I feel like we're having a lot of that. Like everyone as influencers, they have the power to be able to like speak on their behalf, and like people are like trying to philosophize, and that's what I do. Like I'm guilty of it just as much. Like, yeah. But people are trying to like find truths of our world and reality and stuff like that, and they put it in a way where it's like, this is the end all be all. And just speaking on that, I think we just have to be cognizant of like, yeah, like you're saying, it's just their perspective, but like we have to find ways of like incorporating all of these perspectives into a way where it's like everyone feels included and not like gaslit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that as humans, so it's funny, like that theme I haven't really fully gotten this thought off of responses that we've had to this question before until right now, is that what makes humans different than any other animal on this planet is that we have the innate ability to understand perspective. Other animals don't understand another animal's perspective on what life they're living. Like we have the ability to sit and explain it through verbal communication. I've experienced this trauma or this awesome experience, and like this is what it was like, and you can receive that and understand it, and then when you go to that thing, you can experience it and relate it to something. No other animal does that. And I think that's something that uniquely makes us human.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so you're right. Being more open-minded to sit and understand each other's perspectives, but not using it as the law of the land. Like my perspective is the only perspective.
That's genius.
Yeah, it's a huge.
No, I'm serious. What you said is fucking genius.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of trying to get around telling people to be more open-minded. Because I think just saying you just got to be more open-minded is a little too general. Yeah. It's not getting down to the point, and I feel like I don't know. That's like the first time I even like had that thought process, and I'm like, shit.
Mhm.
We're the only ones who
Yeah.
can perceive other people's
Whoa.
perspectives. So like, no shit, we should be trying to like understand it. It's like
Yeah.
a gift that we have that no one else does, at least not on this planet. So it's like,
Consciousness.
Mhm.
yeah.
Universal consciousness.
And still,
yeah.
so many of us still choose to be misunderstood or want to misunderstand others, you know, because
Or-
they're comfortable.
Or just not like try to
Yeah.
understand. They're just like, I don't care what your perspective is. This is what I believe in. You're not gonna change my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed a lot of it has to do with ego, like people's insecurities. Like it is a difficult thing, I think, for people to be open-minded, to like sit there and not like think of something to say on top of that other person, but to like just listen and receive it.
Mhm.
So I think as a practical step, like just be better listeners
Mhm.
could help.
Yeah, I like that. There's like, for anyone who's listening, wants to like leave this conversation with something to think about. It's just like the next conversation you have with a friend, family, or a stranger, just like before you want to respond to anything they're saying, just take a moment to think a little bit about what that person just said to you and perceive it and understand that perspective
Mhm.
before you try to overpower their perspective with your own.
Yeah, because I'm guilty a lot of times in arguments and everything, and I'm sure you guys have done it too. When somebody's presenting their argument to you, the whole time you're not really listening. You're just preparing your argument in your head, and that's something I've definitely needed to work on. Because you're not having an argument. You're just talking about your point. You know,
Yeah.
there's no productive conversation going on there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think one, and also to have a more beneficial conversation or debate, I think reflecting before responding is huge because it allows that other person to understand that you understand what they just said,
Mhm.
and not.
I think it's important to maybe highlight what reflecting is.
So reflecting, and this is something that I learned through life coaching course, is that when someone's speaking to you about any whatever it is, whether it's an opinion or whatever, is basically rephrasing what they just said to you back to them so that they understand that you understand what they just said. And also it gives them a moment to hear what they just said back, because sometimes people say stuff and they don't realize what they just said.
Mhm.
So it allows them to maybe either correct themselves if they didn't mean to say it that way, or affirm that that's what they said and that's how they wanted it to be taken. Because then it allows both people to have a moment to understand what's being said, and then following it with a response is a little bit less jarring than just an immediate response with no,
Mhm.
I guess, acceptance of the initial statement or whatever was being said. Yeah,
Beautifully put, Andy.
Mhm.
I would say that that's probably a good way of explaining it. But yeah, I've been a part of conversations where I'm the culprit, where I don't reflect, I just respond, and I've also been in situations where I'm like looking for a reflection and I don't get one, and I just don't. Some people haven't learned to do that, which is that's human, and I think that's where a crux of the issue is, with the open-mindedness and being understanding of perspectives. So I don't know. I think this is a good little theme lesson. We're here to teach, folks.
Yeah, I think ultimately like the goal is connection that we're all looking for. And if we can find ways to promote that, I think that would create a world where like we always, it's a cliche, but like we want more love in this world. We want world peace. But I think like through connection, we can actually achieve that.
Yeah.
So
stepping out of your own bubble and experiencing a different bubble for a moment, and letting that person know that you're understanding of their bubble.
And if it's not in the world, just make it in your close circle.
Right.
And promote that.
Yeah, I think we all get caught in like, well, it's such a big world. How is me, one person, gonna change the world? But it's like, well, if you change even just one person's life because of the way you go about things, you're changing a lot more than most people. So,
well, even it could be a selfish thing. Like you're not gonna be constantly interacting with the world. It's
Right.
like you have these 10 to 20 people, let's say, that you're closely interacting with. Just try to promote a really therapeutic or like open environment within those people that you're around all the time, and your life's gonna be a hell of a lot better because of that feeling.
Yeah, and the domino effect of those people who
Mhm.
realize how good it makes them feel to be treated, you know, in such a respectful way. Yeah, the domino effect will also, like, I was a very angry child just with all like the death of my life and stuff, but like, you know, meeting people who were really kind to me and understanding of me has completely, I think, changed me more than anything. So it definitely makes an effect on people's life, people being more understanding and open.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not like you can hold anyone accountable to like do that in
more
their
open,
own life,
right?
but at the same
Mhm.
time, at least you're setting an example
Mhm.
that if it made them feel that way, hopefully they can use that in their own life without you needing to say it like explicitly, like you need to do X, Y, and Z to live this way.
That's a good point, because a lot of times with the expectation, it creates a disconnect when it
Yeah.
actually it's like it's doing the opposite effect that we want it to.
Right.
So it's
Yeah,
Mhm.
a
because
double-edged sword.
like
Yeah.
the trick of it is, and I don't want to say it's really a trick, although sometimes you have to trick the mind in order to like get a positive effect out of it, but an ego thing is you want it to be their idea, that they decided they were going to treat people a certain way. So by not telling them you should live by this way, but just by just doing it and
Actions,
them
yeah.
seeing it over and over again, like something's different about my interactions with Michelle than with Jennifer, because
Mhm.
Jennifer never does that. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, duh. And then it just becomes a habit. Yeah. It's interesting. Whenever someone tells you to be a certain way, it's like you almost want to like triple down and being the opposite just because they told
Oh,
you.
yeah. Do not tell me to calm down ever, because
Yeah.
I will not.
Calm
That's
down.
like the big,
What?
that's like the big, yeah, that's definitely the first example I thought of. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Just like anyone
we don't
telling you
wanna
to
be
stop a certain
told.
action just inherently inflames that reaction even more.
And actions do speak louder than words, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't practice what they preach. So, yeah, when people tell me to do something, it's like, okay, but are you doing it? So why would I? So I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all I want to add to it, but you're talking about Buddhism. So like I practice like daily meditation and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I think from my experiences with that, I realized that through like what they call the present moment, just trying to like be present in your breath helps like facilitate that like level of open-mindedness and like understanding, acceptance, and all that kind of stuff. So me personally, here I am preaching, but I think people incorporating meditation in their daily practice, even if they do it like once a week, like that's a start. I think it's a good way to feel more at peace with what's happening. Even if things are happening and you don't like it, you're able to still meditate through it and
Yeah. It's like
connect with it.
the mental what's the word? Discipline. Mental discipline that even like in a tense moment or like a looming argument is coming about, you have the mental ability to like stop yourself from reacting, to like prepare for the correct way to react to anything. Because I think that's no matter what the issue is, like at a major scale, a lot of it is just people overreact to certain things, and then you end up having sometimes fatal accidents or fatal responses because of a misunderstanding. And maybe that comes down to just trainings or whatever it is. It's just like having the ability to stop and not just emotionally respond to things could take us a long way.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to all the people investing in Dogecoin. If you fucking sell tomorrow,
Don't or do.
if you sell tomorrow before I sell, Not gonna be a happy man. Although anyone who's listening to this, the whatever happens to Dogecoin tomorrow, it would have happened at least a week prior to you hearing this. So
420 Blaze.
good luck to anyone out there. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on.
Thank
you did
you.
a really
Love to
great
have you
job.
on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's
a pleasure.
let's drink.
Let's go eat pasta.
Yeah.
Pasta dinner. Yes.
All right, we out. 3, 2, 1.
So there you have it. Thanks again for tuning in to Bindlism, a philosophy to self-sufficient lifestyle. Be sure to explore other episodes of Bindlism on our Spotify and Apple podcast. You can find more Boho Hobo stuff on Instagram and Twitter at boho_hobo_, as well as on our Facebook page at Boho Hobo Lifestyle. It'd also be dope if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Our YouTube channel has more episodes from Bindlism in video form, along with other random shenanigans that we're up to. We're constantly filming new experiences, so it's one way you guys can stay up to date with us in our journey. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. Until next time, peace.